fppradio.com. UPI reports the U.S. Coast Guard referred the deadly sinking of a Missouri amphibious tour boat to federal investigators for a possible criminal case on Tuesday. Coast Guard spokeswoman Alana Miller confirmed the case in which the so-called duck boat capsized on Table Rock Lake near Branson, Missouri, killing 17 people, was referred to U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Missouri. Miller said during the course of the initial part of our investigation, the fact-finding part, we identified stuff that could point to some sort of criminal activity, and we are not in the business of criminal investigation. After the boat was raised out of the water last month, Coast Guard Lieutenant Tasha Sanowicz said the military branch's investigation would focus on the limits on when the boat could enter the water based on wind speed and the height of waves. The Coast Guard previously determined the cause of the failure was the rapidly worsening river conditions, but also cited a failure to anticipate the change in the weather conditions. Miller did not clarify what criminal activity is suspected, but said the Marine Board of Investigations used its collective judgment and consulted with its legal department before the incident was referred. She also told the Springfield News Leader the Coast Guard would continue its safety investigation. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports University of North Carolina police on Tuesday were reviewing video to find the protesters who toppled the statue of a Confederate soldier on campus, part of a recent movement to dismantle U.S. Civil War symbols that critics say glorify the South's legacy of slavery. About 300 demonstrators gathered on Monday evening for a protest and marched at the base of Silent Sam, a memorial erected in 1913 to soldiers of the Confederacy killed during the Civil War. Protesters pulled the statue down with rope, cheering as it lay face down in the mud, its head and back covered in dirt. The University Systems Board Chair Harry Smith and President Margaret Spelling denounced the toppling of the statue in a joint statement. They said the actions were unacceptable, dangerous, and incomprehensible. We are a nation of laws, and mob rule and the intentional destruction of public property will not be tolerated. Last year, UNC students threatened to sue the school, alleging that the university violated federal anti-discrimination laws by allowing the statue to remain on campus. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper said in a statement he shared protesters' frustrations over statues, but condemned the violent destruction of public property. Campus police arrested at least one person at the protest for wearing a mask and resisting arrest. The statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee was vandalized and later removed by school officials last year at nearby Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
For years, Southwest Airlines has boasted having the most loyal customers in the industry. Now the low-cost carrier is calling on its most frequent customers to finally do something in return for the airline. The company rolled out their new Loyalty Goes Both Ways program in a new ad campaign.
You said you wanted free checked bags, and we listened. Now you listen to us.
Southwest's program is part of a new trend of companies not letting their customers exploit them anymore. CEO Gary C. Kelly has gone as far as to record this radio ad, which Southwest started airing nationwide.
Hi, this is Southwest CEO Gary Kelly. If my wife calls asking about me, I need you to lie and say I was with you. Remember all those low fares I gave you.
To any Southwest customers thinking about saying they're too busy to help, Kelly has some harsh words saying, quote, "We're always there for our customers. To anyone who can't do us a solid now and then, f*** you. That's not loyalty, that's freeloading."
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. You may dial in toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, are copyright laws killing video games? Daryl, that's one of the stories that you've got for us here tonight. And also, Conan, you have one of the most ridiculous and hilarious news stories I've heard in a long time. I didn't even know if it was real. We'll get into all of it coming up here when we get a chance. But to start things out, we do have a special guest. We don't do guests a whole lot here on Free Talk Live, but I wanted to get Rob Viglione back on with us from, well, the organization formerly known as Zencash, which has, as of, I believe, this morning at some point.
1 o'clock Eastern.
1 o'clock this morning or 1 o'clock?
No, 1 o'clock Eastern this afternoon.
Gotcha. That was the morning
I watched the live stream.
Right, and Zencash has rebranded as Horizon. Rob, are you there?
I am.
Excellent.
Yes, thank you. How am I coming through?
You sound great, thankfully, because Discord was all messed up last night, so it looks everything is loud and clear. So I'm on the new website, which is horizon.global, and it's spelled Horizen, because, again, it's from Zencash.
Yes.
And so the new website, talking about this rebranding, can you tell our listeners what was the impetus here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, Zencash just embodies a cryptocurrency, and that was our focus for the last year. But really, where the project's going is so much broader, encompasses such a bigger vision, and just a different set of technologies as well. So to keep calling ourselves Zencash, despite building up towards this platform, distributed application ecosystem, just really stopped making sense.
Now, isn't this really the second rebranding that has happened? Because when I was first introduced, the website was Zen Systems, and then it sort of happened to be Zencash.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't a rebrand. That was just a different redirect on the website to a different domain. Yeah, so we were always Zencash from the beginning. We've gone through two different logos, and then the website was just redirected to zencash.com.
Got it.
Yeah, because we didn't have it at first, actually. So we had to go out and heckle to buy it.
So we knew that Zencash, it's always been a sort of this ancillary thing that we didn't really talk about too much, was like you can send messages over Zencash. And then there was kind of like this long-term vision of you'd be able to send files or post, media of some sort to the Zencash network. And is that what this rebrand is focusing on? Is the vision even bigger now? I guess, can you paint whatever vision for our listeners and maybe the crypto fans out there so they know, what's new or what's coming? What do you see for Horizon?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, you nailed it. We already have applications that go beyond cryptocurrencies, especially the messaging app, which I think is very important to preserve privacy. But the big vision, it is much bigger. Our big vision is we're really trying to upend the like social media model of companies owning all of your data, and we're trying to give people back their digital footprint. So that's really where it all goes in the long term. So we're hoping to build out this big application ecosystem, and the data that comes off of it, we want people to own.
What does that mean? When they control their digital footprint, I mean, how will that be existing in the digital reality compared to, say, like Facebook or Twitter, where they completely control your account and what you can do with it? Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly right. So, I mean, applications like Steemit, for instance, are already starting to do that. One way that you could look at it with us, for instance, if we have a payment like point of sale application, all of the data from that POS device doesn't necessarily have to go to a third company that owns it and then can start selling your data to, say, like grocery stores or other companies that want to monetize, harvest the data. Instead, what we envision is all the applications on our ecosystem preserve your privacy, and then the data flows to your own kind of personal private repository, for which, ultimately, like my big vision is I want it to be super simple and user-friendly, where people can just toggle a button that says monetize it, or toggle another button that says wipe it, or don't collect it in the first place.
So I'm interested in hearing more about this messaging app. Is that a new thing? Because I didn't know about it. I knew the original Zencash wallet, the full node one, had a messaging option wherein you could message other full nodes. Is there an actual app that does just messaging now? Or tell me what that's all about.
Yeah, so we've actually had it for a while. Now, the thing is, it's an MVP product, so it's not really a production level product.
MVP, okay, most valued player?
Minimum viable product. Sorry.
Okay. So it's like an alpha. It isn't ready for release yet, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it is out there. It is out there, but really the most convenient way to use our messaging protocol is through the wallet currently.
Okay.
So we're constantly developing that.
So I'm actually on the website now and clicked on
Horizon.global with Horizon ZEN.
And I clicked on ZenChat, and then it says download standalone ZenChat or download as part of a wallet. And when I click the download as part of a wallet, it takes me to the list of the various wallets. So there's Windows, Mac, Linux, a web wallet, there's Android, and then there's Paper Wallet. How would one do chat through the Android wallet?
So actually, the chat is only available in the full Node client that we have, which would have, So that could be that's actually good to know. That could be a little bit of a misnomer there on the link structure.
Yeah, because when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, there must be an update to the Android wallet that allows me to chat, and then I wasn't seeing any updates in the Android wallet.
No. Yeah, so if we do chat over Snarks anyway, which is very computationally intensive privacy technology, which we can't do on a light client yet.
Right. It requires bigger oomph computer to crank through that stuff.
Exactly.
So let's see. So Horizon.global, that's the new website, HORIZEN.global. Privacy, obviously, still a big thing here. That's one of the ways that, the big things about Zencash was you could send money privately, and that's obviously going to stay on board. And you're talking about allowing people to keep other things private in the future. You mentioned Steemit. That's a different platform, a different cryptocurrency. It's the Steem crypto. I'm one of the bloggers over at Steemit. It's basically a crypto-focused blogging platform where people get paid when other users of the site vote up their blogs or vote up their comments even. They can get paid on that in the form of this cryptocurrency, Steem. Are you saying Zencash is going to enter into competition and do something similar in that you would allow the Horizon users to have a sort of a blogging platform based on the blockchain?
So I won't say that explicitly yet because we don't have a defined project scoped and funded to tackle that particular product. I just brought that up as one example of a product.
Possible option,
that gives you really control of your data, which I love. I mean, I think it's such a great concept to say like this is your data. If someone wants to market to you, they better pay you. Or if you don't want to be marketed to, then too bad for the marketer.
Right, because you get to control whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of pans out. Obviously, it's a rebrand. I imagine you've got new versions of software on the horizon, so to speak, but maybe not quite ready yet for release.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So really, towards the end of the year, we're going to have some really heavy-hitting software deliverables, which are going to pivot us hard into side chaining and then our liquid democracy concept, which I think is really important for decentralization.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course,
sure,
definitely. So, So we have a funding pool, our community fund, that currently the team and our nonprofit makes decisions on how to spend, but we're trying to democratize that. So we have some software based on some game theory and using zero knowledge cryptography to embed a voting system into our software, so that now the community or anyone that owns Zen could still cast a vote and decide how we allocate resources, what projects get funded, and so forth. And it's liquid democracy because we're building in a delegation function. So you can delegate your voting authority to someone else that you trust.
Interesting. Looking forward to seeing how all this develops, Rob. I know you've got other things that you need to do tonight. I appreciate your time with us here. Real quick, one last question. Is Zencash the number one most, as far as node count, does Horizon have the most nodes of any cryptocurrency out there right now that you know of? Full nodes?
It does. It does. We're number one. We have about 18,000.
Okay, excellent. If you have any kind of list, I've been looking for a list where I can go and actually check and see what the top node count cryptos are. If you have that, send that to me on our Discord. And that's Rob Viglione from the now known as Horizon, HORIZEN.global, formerly known as Zencash. Thanks for coming on Free Talk Live tonight.
Thank you, guys.
We got more on the way here. This is Free Talk Live.
From the third letter of Captain Mark. The Crown's observation conditions us to be dishonest with ourselves. Therefore, constant surveillance produces a society of constant deception. Honest communication is the seed of civilized conduct. To deny us this seed is to deny us its fruits. But the Crown's primary objective is to stifle free thought itself, to make its subjects incapable of dissent. Seasoned pirates have always encrypted messages and codes and ciphers, so intercepted transmissions were incomprehensible. But today, the Crown possesses advanced tools of pattern recognition that document, profile, and predict our every move. Today, piracy requires hailing frequencies completely invisible to the Crown. We are tired of poltergeists in the static. Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. These supernodes will bring network, economic, and technological improvements across the network. And the official Zencash wallet is available on Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com.
Free Talk Live.
You're privileged to drive the road. You must follow the laws.
No, I don't have to.
You're going to double park and you're going to make a left-hand turn in front of a cop?
Can I respond to you here, Barbara?
Go right ahead.
I'm not going to run a red light in front of a cop because he has a gun and is willing to hurt me, but I've run plenty of...
Wrong. He's not going to hurt you. He's going to give you a ticket.
Oh, but if I decide not to pull over, what will he do?
Well, you're not obeying the law.
Barbara, I don't obey arbitrary words written down by strangers. I obey natural law, Barbara. That means if I do something, I expect consequences will come from that, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
You want a red light, somebody comes around and you kill him.
I would never run a red light like that. When I run a red light, I stop first, look around, make sure no one is in danger, and then I go through.
Oh, you are such a phony.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. The Discord on-air call-in line rooms are also open and available to you. Go to discord.lrn.fm. You will need a Discord app if you want to take part in our Discord on-air rooms, and you'll sound just as good as Rob did there from formerly known as Zencash, now Horizen, Horizen, Horizon.global is their new website. You know, before we get into video games and copyright, Daryl, you've got a story about that, I think.
Yes.
Since we were talking about privacy with Rob there from Horizon, Reuters had a story this week about the U.S. government trying to force Facebook to break the encryption in its popular Messenger app, so law enforcement may listen to a suspect's voice conversations in a criminal probe, according to 3 people briefed on the case.
Wow, federal government trying to break into somebody's thing to listen to what they've said. This is my surprised face.
Resurrecting the issue of whether companies can be compelled to alter their products to enable government surveillance. The previously unreported case in a federal court in California is proceeding under seal, so no filings are publicly available. But 3 people told Reuters that Facebook is contesting the U.S. Department of Justice's demand. The judge in the Messenger case heard arguments Tuesday on a government motion to hold Facebook in contempt of court for refusing to carry out the surveillance request, according to the sources. Well, now, wait a minute. Now, obviously, journalists don't always get their wording right. If
Correct.
It's a request, it's not an order. If it's a request, it's not an order from a judge, right? And if it's not an order from a judge, it's not contempt. If the judge has written down, things on a piece of paper and that's called an order, then that's no longer a request. You're then under orders from the judge to do something. And while I might like to, consider a judge just another human being and not follow their orders, ultimately they've got men with guns who will enforce their orders upon you. But if a police agency simply sends a request to a corporation, then any corporation is free to deny that request out of hand, and they don't even have to give a reason for it. So I'm not sure whether this was a request or not in this particular
At the very
case.
least, it was a strongly worded letter. Whether it was accompanied by a warrant or not is another question, and since the entire case is sealed. We don't know. And my guess is whoever's writing this, because the case is sealed, they're speculating and using a verb.
So there is an anonymous source, apparently, according to Reuters, that has been giving this information over. And the source claims that the issue, which, by the way, both Facebook and the Department of Justice are declining to comment, but
of course,
the Messenger issue arose in Fresno, California, as part of an investigation of the MS-13 gang. Donald Trump frequently uses the gang, which is active in the United States and Central America, as a symbol of lax U.S. immigration policy and a reason to attack so-called sanctuary laws, preventing police from detaining people solely to enforce immigration law. He's called members of the gang animals earlier this year when the sheriff of Fresno County complained that California laws limit her cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. Potential impact of the judge's coming ruling is unclear. If the government prevails in the Facebook Messenger case, it could make similar arguments to force companies to rewrite other popular encrypted services, such as Signal and Facebook's billion-user WhatsApp, which include both voice and text functions, according to some legal experts.
In some respects, this reminds me of, do you remember the San Bernardino iPhone situation
where the
from
shooters,
a couple of years ago?
There were the couple that had shot up the office of bureaucrats, and then they killed themselves or whatever happened to them, and the phones were still there, and the cops wanted Apple or whoever to let them into the encryption.
Oh, it's not just that the cops wanted Apple to let them into the encryption, it's the cops tried figuring out what the code was enough times to where it locked the phone. And then the cops went to Apple and said, we need you to break into this phone. And Apple said, we don't have software to do that because of this encryption, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Whereas if the cops hadn't have pushed a bunch of buttons before going to Apple, Apple probably could have opened the phone. But because... Yeah, there's a way that before it actually got locked, it could have been unlocked by Apple.
That's bad news for Apple users.
It is bad news for Apple users. But because it got to the point that it was locked and Apple did not have software to unlock the phone, and they said if we wind up creating something to open this phone, it will be able to open every phone, and you can't compel us to do that. Then there were a bunch of people that were all upset. Apple's refusing to help the cops, track down a killer that killed himself, something. And it's a similar kind of thing to where the Facebook Messenger is allegedly encrypted in some kind of way. I don't know what it is. I've never actually checked the encryption, but if there is some encryption, and the only way to break the encryption... I said allegedly some kind of. I don't know because it's not open code. Even if there was, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at when I look at code. But allegedly there's some kind of encryption. And if you write something to break the encryption for one particular person, it will break the encryption for everybody. And then the encryption that does exist is absolutely meaningless.
Correct. I had heard that WhatsApp had encryption. I had not heard that they had moved that over to the Facebook Messenger, but I don't pay close attention to Facebook's press releases. Now, of course, Facebook purchased the WhatsApp app, and again, it does have purportedly has encryption, but it's just so hard to trust an organization like Facebook, which is why it's nice to have other options in the marketplace for encrypted services that aren't run by mega corporations who really consider you their product rather than their user. According to the story here, law enforcement agencies forcing technology providers to rewrite software to capture and hand over data that's no longer encrypted would have major implications for the companies which see themselves as defenders of individual privacy while under pressure from police and lawmakers. Similar issues came to play, and they mentioned then the San Bernardino case. The toll-free number here tonight, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE like freedom. Claim here says Facebook is arguing in court that Messenger voice calls are encrypted end-to-end. So they're not claiming the texting is encrypted, and that only the two parties have access to the conversation, according to two of the people briefed on the case. Ordinary Facebook text messages, as well as Gmail and other services, are decrypted by their service providers during transit for targeted advertising or other reasons, making them available for court-ordered interception. So if you're using Facebook Messenger for texting, here's the news saying, in case you didn't know, it's not encrypted at really any point, because you're using Facebook. They're carrying that unencrypted text to that other person, and they're analyzing your text, and they're selling advertising to you based on the things that you're chatting about. So, keep that in mind. If you care about encryption, you care about secrecy, you might want to check out Zencash for some ultimate, high-level encryption for chats. Probably not Horizon. Probably not the easiest to use, because you have to have the full, Node client in order to do that. Something a little more simple, Signal Messenger is purportedly encrypted, purportedly open source, so people who want to, or programmer types, can go and actually read the code of the Signal Messenger. You're probably a little safer there. PGP, probably going to be your best method, although there is a bit of a learning curve to use PGP. So start there if you're interested in privacy. If not, keep sharing everything with Facebook. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free, and you can bring up anything that you want. Our number, 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, a bizarre story out of an internet health advice website that Conan's going to share with us that is just laughably hilarious and sad.
Absolutely ridiculous.
All at the same time.
From Onion Health?
No,
it's not
I thought
from
it
the
was.
Onion.
I thought it was, but we'll tell you more about that coming up. Plus, video games and copyright. Daryl, you've got a story suggesting that maybe copyright is hurting the video game industry.
Copyright hurts everything.
I agree. We'll get into that, though. First, we go to your calls and thoughts. Oh, and I do want to let you know about Bitcoin.com. That's where you can go to learn the basics about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, the one that started it all, which has now split into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin BTC, and you can learn all about that over at Bitcoin.com. Plus, they want you to know that at SaveItPurse.com, you can now use Bitcoin Cash to fund your account at Save It Purse. And what is Save It Purse? Well, it's a website that allows you to get big discounts on the things that you want to purchase on Amazon. So, like right now, there's something I've got up there that I put at 33% off, just because I don't really care if I get it anytime soon. So I'm just going to see if somebody decides to bite on it, because 33 is the maximum discount you can get. If you're in more of a rush, put it at 20%, and in my experience, somebody's going to snap it up. They're going to order the item for you and deliver it to you. Usually the order comes in within the first 24 hours at 20%. That's my experience. You can check it out for yourself over at saveatpurse.com. And again, you can use Bitcoin Cash to deposit over there. Let's go to Zach in South Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Zach.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
So I had called, I think it was Friday night.
Okay.
And I was talking about Larry Sharpe and the Libertarian Party and stuff like that. And we had gotten into, I wouldn't call it an argument, but it was a discussion about it. And I was going to leave it at that. And then the guy called in last night talking about it. And so I figured I'd call in because I feel like this is an important discussion that should be had.
So for our listeners who aren't familiar, Friday night you'd called in about the gubernatorial candidate in New York State for the Libertarian Party. His name is Larry Sharpe, and you were very excited about his candidacy because you'd heard that he was polling higher than the Republican. But what Daryl found out later that night, it was after I think we got off the air, so we weren't able to make the correction on the air. And I made a partial correction on it last night, but I'm glad you called tonight, Zach, because Daryl's actually in here.
Yeah.
I kind of recollected the best I could what you'd found out. And I think I did an okay job, but please clarify.
If you actually go to Larry's website, which is LarrySharpe.com, Sharp spelled with an E, by the way, you'll see where he's got the story about the polling that was done by Gravis Marketing, and you can pull up and click somewhere in this article and see all of the questions that were asked. And one of the questions that was asked was, if the election were between Governor Cuomo and Larry Sharpe, who would you vote for? And in that head-to-head two-person question, Larry Sharpe polled 49%. There was also a question, if the candidates were this Republican guy, I think it's Molinari, and Cuomo, who would you vote for? And the Republican guy polled 45% in that two-person head-to-head. So when you compare those two questions, that's how you're able to see that Larry Sharpe polled higher than the Republican. In the question that asked, here are the 4 or 5 candidates running for governor, who would you vote for? Larry Sharpe did not poll higher than the Republican.
How much higher, do you recall how much higher the Republican was compared to?
I don't recall, but I think Sharpe was somewhere in like the 6 to 9% range.
So, Zach, I'm curious.
There was another question where they asked about name recognition of, prior to this, had you heard of Larry Sharpe? And of the people that said yes, they then calculated and figured out that 24% of voters in New York that were familiar with Larry Sharpe were willing to vote for Larry Sharpe.
Which was higher than the people who weren't familiar with Larry Sharpe who were willing to vote for Larry Sharpe.
Well, generally, if you've never heard of the person, you're not going to say you're going to vote for them.
So, Zach, I was curious, did you know all of that subtle detail about the headline that you were proclaiming, or had you just heard somewhere that Larry Sharpe was polling better than the Republican?
Well, okay, so that's the first thing. When I called, I did not mention anything about the poll that you guys are talking about. So I'm not quite sure where you guys got that. No, I
Why
did
would
not.
we have even talked about it in the first place? Would you have brought it up, Daryl?
I think
I may have mentioned something of having seen a headline when he mentioned being excited about Larry.
Okay, I apologize, Zach. I thought you had mentioned that
I may have been the one that brought it up, and I always want to correct myself if I'm wrong.
Sure.
There are people that think that I never do, but I do.
There you go. All right, so apparently it was Daryl who did it. Sorry about that, Zach. What else?
That's fine. I wanted to clear that up first of all. But the main reason why I'm calling back is one of the things you pointed out last night is that, in your opinion, the best idea to make an impact is to group everybody up. So in New Hampshire,
no, not everybody. You'll never get everybody to do something. I mean, it's too diverse of a group.
Well, you're trying to.
If you could get 5% of libertarians to move to New Hampshire, that would be more than sufficient.
Okay, well, your point is if you're trying to centralize power.
No, it's called concentrating activism. Libertarians don't have any power.
Yes.
That's what the Republicans and Democrats have. They've got the power.
I mean, that's semantics, but
Okay.
that was your opinion. And so what the main thing I was trying to say is, I feel like it is important that we have libertarians in, as many states as we can get them, because,
You've got that.
As much as you've
got that.
Great.
You've had 50 years of it, and they've not gotten anywhere.
Well,
How much more failure? How many more decades of failure, abject failure across the board, with no market improvements, with no, noticeable improvements, with no success stories? I mean, virtually nothing. Every now and then a Libertarian Party, local Libertarian Party pats itself on the back. They're like, there was a tax increase that we helped stop. Meaning that they went in and lobbied to try to stop some sort of government increase or whatever, and it happened to get stopped. And so the Libertarian Party's always like, yeah, we helped with that. They never did it on their own because they have virtually no impact anywhere. So how long?
But
do you have
even
to
in
keep
New
doing
Hampshire,
that?
hold on. even in New Hampshire, where we do have a concentration of activists, when we go to the school board budget meeting in February, we help stop some of the increases.
Because we don't have enough people to do anything at those school board meetings. However,
I don't know of any town in New Hampshire that has enough libertarians to where they are the ones that are doing it. So
we need more people here. Libertarians have been elected in New Hampshire as Republicans and Democrats. We've got actual office-holding libertarians in New Hampshire.
By the way, we just lost one.
He had to retire due to moving out of Keene, sadly. But regardless, there was 3. Now there's 2. Those 2 are going to be running for re-election. Still, even at 2, that's 2 more than the rest of the 49 states combined. So again, Zach, how many more decades does the Libertarian Party have to have this spread out approach and ultimate failure before you'll realize that it was a waste of time?
Well, I mean, you're.
Did we lose you?
He's right
there. I'm trying to be positive about this, and you're making it a little hard. So I'm just trying
I think positivity is important. I think being positive is a great idea, but you also need to be realistic about your chances.
Let me re-ask the question. Are you willing to join other libertarians in a place where libertarians have already gathered together? Simple yes or no.
Yes, if I was able to financially, yes, I would.
Okay, well, great. So if you got something else you want to say, you're welcome to. I'll hold you over. But if that's what you're saying, then anybody can ultimately afford to move. Just depends on how comfortable you want to be, right? Like, do you have a decent amount of savings? Are you able to kind of put yourself up for 6 months somewhere without having to have a job? That kind of thing. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Have you experienced the miracle of CBDs? They can help you reduce suffering, reduce stress, help you sleep better, modulate inflammation in the body, and is absolutely safe. Meta Hemp Solutions offers a radically innovative approach to CBDs for exceptional results. Stop suffering and reduce your stress now. Isn't it time for a good night's sleep? Stop worrying about tomorrow today. Lab tested for potency, purity, and is non-psychoactive. Free shipping to all 50 states. Try our product risk-free, money-back guarantee. Use code GCN15 to get 15% off. That's code GCN15 to get 15% off. Offer ends soon, so visit MetaHemp Solutions today at metahempsolutions.com or call 833-858-7500. Suffer no more. Get rid of the stress and sleep better. Get our product now at metahempsolutions.com. That's metahempsolutions.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free and take control of the airwaves. You can bring up anything that you want. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And Daryl.
So we are going to continue here. We'll take your calls and thoughts. On the way, video games and copyright. Is copyright actually harming the video game industry? That's what Daryl is going to tell us about coming up here in a moment. But we're going to go back to your calls and thoughts. I do want to let you know, speaking of video games, we are on Twitch. And that's our main way to feed video of what's happening in the studio. It's HD quality on Twitch. We do have our YouTube stream, but that's not HD. So if you want to see us in HD, and it is Topless Wednesdays here in the studio tonight with me and Conan, you can do that over at twitch.lrn.fm. Please follow the channel there, and then you will get notices whenever it is that we go live. Not just us, but also the other shows that are live from the Keen studio here, the LRN.FM studio, which includes Call to Freedom 5 days a week from 4 to 7 in the afternoon Eastern Time. And then there's also now Questioning Authority on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, which will resume production starting this weekend since Vincent is now back in town.
And occasionally Ian playing video games, but
pretty
that's
occasional.
not happened in a while.
I did it like within the last 2 weeks one time. I played some old school an old school RPG. But we're going to go back. Go to twitch.lrn.fm. You can follow us there. And if you have the Amazon Prime, you can give us your Amazon Prime free Twitch subscription for the month, and the instructions on how to do that are shortly below our videos. Just scroll down the page at twitch.lrn.fm. We're on with Zach in South Carolina, and we had a discussion with him on Friday last week that kind of got brought back up by another caller last night regarding, the question of strategy when it comes to libertarian political action or just activism, libertarian activism in general. And
South Carolina, number 29 on the Freedom in the 50 States rankings that came out a couple days ago.
And so, Zach, you were saying something that a lot of us, I think, have heard a number of times. I've been here more than a decade. Conan, you've been here since, 2010 or something like that?
Same as Daryl, 6 years.
So 2012. So you guys have been here most of a decade. And, we've heard a lot of people over the years saying, well, don't we need libertarians everywhere to do libertarian things everywhere? And
not enough of us.
Well, tell me more about that, Conan.
Well, I mean, I came to this conclusion, 7 years ago. I looked at the landscape. I moved from Tennessee, originally from Florida, all those, many years in Florida. But I just sat down, thought about it. I went through the stages of grief. And I think that Zach is doing the same right now. I think he's in the bargaining stage. And I just said, you know what? This is a lost cause. There is no way that I can compete with being the only libertarian that I know.
Oh, man,
At least I can go surround myself with, I don't know, at least a dozen and here in Keene.
Right.
I mean, there's a good dozen strong here. I mean, there are lots more here.
For sure.
And you got Concord, you got Massachusetts, Manchester, excuse me. Yeah, not in Massachusetts. They all come from Massachusetts.
Right.
But yeah, I just sat down and thought about it. There it's hopeless. And there's just not enough of us,
and there's not gonna be
intermingled amongst.
There's not gonna be.
We're a special type who think for ourselves, and it's just most people do not want to make decisions. They want someone up on the mountaintop carving the stone tablets to make decisions for them. And we are, we're a small few, and the only way to solve this is to put our, mix our powers together.
I can tell you,
in a small population state where it's already very free-leaning, already live free or die.
Yeah, it's pretty free here already, and it's only going to get better as more libertarians concentrate here. So, Daryl, you'd asked Zach an interesting question that was, would you be willing to move, if you could, to another place where more libertarians, a concentration of them exists? And Zach, you said if you could afford it, you'd do it.
Yes, I would totally do it.
And are you a young man?
And I'm 24, so yes, I guess you would consider me young. Yes.
Okay. Yes. I don't want to get too personal with you, but do you have any savings?
At the moment, I am not being paid very much. I'm working as a graduate assistant, so not making very much money. Trying to get forward through my education so that I can get a good job.
How many more years of that do you have to do, the education thing?
I'm planning on just getting a master's for now, and then
was that 6 years?
After that, I'm
That's
in
6.
physics. So
okay.
And are you taking college debt as well?
To get a job.
You said it won't be hard for you?
Well, to get a job?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
With physics, you can go anywhere and get a job.
I didn't know that. That's not something where you have to work at a school. You can actually work for companies as a physicist.
Oh yeah, very much.
Okay.
Because physics bleeds into everything. So, but that's beside the point. The point I was trying to make with Larry Sharpe is that yes, I do believe it is important for people to congregate in New Hampshire and make a difference there. But I also think that it's important to have libertarians other places because as much as you guys are making a difference, you aren't going to be you're not going to be affecting people in New York. Whereas Larry Sharpe, he is traveling the entire state and he's talking to people every day, and he's spreading the information that libertarian is a good idea.
But didn't every other candidate before Larry Sharpe do the same thing?
Yeah, and I think they have.
And New York State is still the number 50th on the top 50 Freedom in the 50 states. New York State is still number 50. So I'm not saying if you're stuck in New York, if you've got no chance of getting out of New York, you got to stay there for your family. There's some super important career or whatever your reason is for staying in New York State or California or one of these other awful places. Right, and I think that's
the reason Larry's there. Larry has youngish kids.
Yeah. Of course, the best place to raise kids is in New Hampshire, not New York. So if that's your excuse, is you've got kids, that's a lame excuse. Usually it's like my grandma's dying or my mom or my dad are in a hospital or something and I've got to be here to take care of them or something.
Right, but there's also a lot of people that, they're like, I don't want to wind up upheaving my kid's life. Yeah. So after the kids are out of the house, then I will, because then I'm only affecting my life, not other people's.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty lame excuse to not leave the worst place in the entire country. Like, do you want to have your kids have a better life? Well, they can make new friends, in New Hampshire. There's kids there too. But anyway, so people have their reasons for staying. If you feel like you have to stay where you are, then God has blessed you, man. Keep waving those signs. Get out there, run your political campaigns. Just don't expect to ever get anywhere, And at some point, people get burned out. They get burned out bad.
Yes, I know.
You ever had that happen?
The point, no, I'm very dedicated, so I haven't had that problem.
Good for you, man.
Yet. But the thing that I've noticed with libertarianism, especially with the Libertarian Party, is the main goal is education. We are trying to spread these ideas to other people. We're not trying to get elected.
I wish most libertarians agreed with you. It used to be that way, but I don't know if that's true anymore. Now, Daryl, you go to the Libertarian Party national conventions? What's your temperature? Take a temperature of your observation of the convention floor.
I'd say that it's pretty split between the people that say we need to inform people about what libertarianism is and the people that say screw what libertarianism
we need to get elected.
We just need to get elected at all costs, hide what we believe, and just tell them, libertarians, we're kind of like Republicans and Democrats, but we're a little nicer.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a fight that's been going on within the Libertarian Party for a long time, Zach, to where there's plenty of people in the LP who just believe in watering down the message and pandering to the lowest common denominator of politics.
Yeah, and I don't agree with those people at all.
Right.
So,
if you want to get elected and you want to, not change, or, you want to try to be basically the same as a Republican or a Democrat, you're never going to do that because the hardcore Republicans are going to vote Republican no matter what. The hardcore Democrats are going to vote Democrat no matter what. What you need to do, focus on the non-voters. There's, about 50% of people that are registered to vote that don't show up to vote? Focus the message towards them. Find out, why don't you vote? Oh, it's because you think that, your options are basically the same. You're right. I'm somebody that's different. I'm an option.
Yeah, and I think that's where libertarianism can shine. And I think that's where Larry Sharpe is shining. He's traveling the entire state.
Shaletta Jarvis is traveling the state here in New Hampshire. She came out here to Keene a few times.
70% of people don't vote in New York, and and that's where
I wish him the best.
That win is.
Zach, you'll have to let us
Fingers
know how
crossed.
his.
I hope he gets 50,000 votes.
Yeah, is that a lot? I don't know.
That gets him ballot access.
Okay, cool. So we'll see you. Thanks for the call, Zach. Hour number 2's next. It's Free Talk Live.
If you owe any money to the IRS, you need to call *1234. That's *1234. Uncle Sam has the power to make your life miserable. You could stop the IRS collections process right now by calling *1234. When you call the Tax Defense Center, you'll get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate your back taxes, including penalties and interest. *1234. *1234 could save you thousands on your back taxes. You could also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have entered into a payment plan and can't make the payments. It's your hard-earned money. Stop Uncle Sam right now. Make the call that could help you end the worry today. *1234. That's *1234. *1234. *1234.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.87 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,201 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $22, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,674. Antiwar.com reports that Russia's foreign ministry reacted critically to the U.S. Treasury Department's new announcement of sanctions on Tuesday, saying the allegations of malicious cyber attacks were groundless. The cyber activities were allegedly centered on evading previous sanctions. The sanctions targeted Slovakia-based Lacno SRO and Russia's Vela Marine. The Russian company said it was baffled by the decision to target them, as the U.S. claims the diving equipment they provided to the Russian government was used to violate sanctions. Russian officials said the whole sanctions effort was done under false pretense and that the Russians would soon offer a retaliation against the U.S. over the sanctions. Both sides have launched tit-for-tat measures against one another for years, and despite the Trump administration wanting to improve relations, they are constantly hitting Russia with new sanctions. Where this all ends is anyone's guess, but Russia has tended to make its retaliatory moves as close as possible to identical to the U.S. moves. This likely means they'll target a couple of Western companies and officials in this case. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports the U.S. Coast Guard referred the deadly sinking of a Missouri amphibious tour boat to federal investigators for a possible criminal case on Tuesday. Coast Guard spokeswoman Alana Miller confirmed the case in which the so-called duck boat capsized on Table Rock Lake near Branson, Missouri, killing 17 people, was referred to U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Missouri. Miller said during the course of the initial part of our investigation, the fact-finding part, we identified stuff that could point to some sort of criminal activity, and we are not in the business of criminal investigations. After the boat was raised out of the water last month, Coast Guard Lieutenant Tasha Sanowik said the military branch's investigation would focus on the limits on when the boat could enter the water based on wind speed and the height of waves. The Coast Guard previously determined the cause of the failure was the rapidly worsening river conditions, but also cited a failure to anticipate the change in the weather conditions. Miller did not clarify what criminal activity is suspected, but said the Marine Board of Investigations used its collective judgment and consulted with its legal department before the incident was referred. She also told the Springfield News Leader the Coast Guard would continue its safety investigation. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports University of North Carolina police on Tuesday were reviewing video to find the protesters who toppled the statue of a Confederate soldier on campus, part of a recent movement to dismantle U.S. Civil War symbols that critics say glorify the South's legacy of slavery. About 300 demonstrators gathered on Monday evening for a protest and marched at the base of Silent Sam, a memorial erected in 1913 to soldiers of the Confederacy killed during the Civil War. Protesters pulled the statue down with rope, cheering as it lay face down in the mud, its head and back covered in dirt. The University Systems Board Chair Harry Smith and President Margaret Spelling denounced the toppling of the statue in a joint statement. They said the actions were unacceptable, dangerous, and incomprehensible. We are a nation of laws, and mob rule and the intentional destruction of public property will not be tolerated. Last year, UNC students threatened to sue the school, alleging that the university violated federal anti-discrimination laws by allowing the statue to remain on campus. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper said in a statement he shared protesters' frustrations over statues, but condemned the violent destruction of public property. Campus police arrested at least one person at the protest for wearing a mask and resisting arrest. The statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee was vandalized and later removed by school officials last year at nearby Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
An alarming UN report on magical realism released this week warns of increased incidences of women's tears flooding the entire world. A UN committee linked the catastrophic phenomena to matronly widows, commonly named Tita and Esmeralda, who wept for up to 90 days on end about their estranged lovers.
Just consider how detrimental it is to a nation's workforces to have thousands of its plantation overseers simply disappear one night into the midsummer fog, only to return decades later without having aged a single day. Put simply, if such phenomena are not immediately halted, the effects on the international community will be catastrophic.
The nation's limo drivers spent a magical prom night playing scratch-off tickets in the parking lot this week. According to sources, chauffeurs nationwide began their enchanting evening by cramming swank magazines into their glove compartments before dropping off their students at a school gym, working through a stunning assortment of lotto cards, and dining upon a wide range of microwave-heated taquitos from a nearby 7-Eleven.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour of the program. We invite you to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And Daryl.
Coming up, we'll talk about video games. Not Conan, but Daryl, you've got a story about gaming and copyright. And then also on the way here tonight, of course, your calls and thoughts about anything, plus a bizarre health story that I found laughably sad and hilarious all at once. So we'll tell you about that coming up here in a little bit. But and by the way, if you want to join us, we've also got the Discord on-air call-in lines, which allow you to sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Those are wide open for you over at discord.lrn.fm. You'll need the Discord app to get into those rooms. So download the Discord app, get your username created, and then click on Discord.lrn.fm, and that'll get you in our Discord server where there are other chat rooms in which you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners, as well as some of the callers that you hear on this show. Some of those folks are in Discord, and you can talk with them, and some of the hosts, including Conan and myself. So let's get into this video game intellectual property copyright related story. Daryl, go ahead. Where's it from?
Yeah, story from Kotaku.com, which is not a source that I'm familiar with.
It's a gaming news website that was one of the sites in the Gawker site listing that Univision purchased when Gawker went under after the Hulk Hogan lawsuit.
Right. This was actually shared on social media. Well, based on the header where they've got the AV Club, Deadspin, Gizmodo.
Yeah, okay, that's Univision. They're selling those sites, by the way. Univision picked them up like a year ago. They didn't have them for very long, and I saw headlines within the last couple of weeks that they've got them on the market. So if you want to buy The Onion and Kotaku and all these other sites, they're for sale.
Yeah, so this was actually shared by EFF on
the Electronic
social media.
Frontier Foundation.
Right, and when I saw that they shared it, I was like, all right, this is something to definitely take a look into. And it's specifically talking about ROMs and how...
Can you define what a ROM is?
I don't know exactly what it is, but they sort of explain briefly in the first paragraph.
We'll let them
but if you know what it is, go ahead and...
Well, no, let's hear what their explanation is. I'm sure it's fine.
They say various video game emulation sites are pulling down their software libraries or ceasing to exist entirely following a lawsuit by Nintendo filed against one of the largest of their kind.
Nintendo.
Go ahead and download the archives now so you have them in decades to come.
They say this is hardly tantamount to the erasure of all unauthorized copies of older video games from the internet, but it's still gotten a lot of folks talking about the conundrum of ROMs. That is, the need to balance copyright protection and the preservation of history. So I guess they don't actually explain what a ROM is.
I don't know how you can actually get rid of them. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, I've got a good-sized folder at the house right now. It's not going anywhere.
I've heard of ROM in
it's not in my possession, Ian. But I know of it.
Okay.
In the computer terminology, meaning read-only memory, but in this case, I don't know if that's what they mean.
Yeah, I'm actually on one of the ROM sites right now, coolrom.com, and mysteriously absent from their list of systems here is any Nintendo system. Very interesting.
And by the way, you can have a ROM if you actually own the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so I'm not a lawyer, Conan. I don't want to give you legal advice, but I've heard
and ROM
that claim.
Being read-only memory, or
That's,
no?
I believe what it stands for.
Okay.
Ultimately, what this is, Daryl, is somebody somewhere, but probably a group of somebodies, has whatever equipment is necessary to take an old Nintendo cartridge and basically download from the cartridge. Because, if you open up a cartridge, it's just a piece of hardware. It's a PC board with some chips on it.
A chip.
Yeah. It's multiple chips, and that's got the game information on there. And so they managed to pull that information down from the cart into a computer.
Yep.
And it's been decades since whoever it was that did this, because once it was done once, it didn't need to be done more than that. It just got copied around or whatever. And so basically it's a digital version of an easily copyable version of the game, the original game, the exact programming that's then run on what's called an emulator. And an emulator is a program that's designed for usually a Windows computer or a Macintosh or something.
Right. So if you
or
have
even your phone.
If you have this program on your...
The emulator.
Right, the emulator, it's program. If you have that on your computer...
That's legal to have, by the way.
Then, in theory, if you have a digital version of...
The ROM.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yep.
You could play that on your Windows PC.
Correct. If you could find that, because that's a Nintendo game, so it might be getting harder to find Super Smash Brothers.
Right, but to answer Conan's question, it is my understanding... And again, not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but it is my understanding that if you have a physical copy of the thing, then you are allowed to have a single digital copy of the thing that you have the physical copy of.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like the in case of a fire backup excuse or something like that. The idea that...
No, because if a fire burns the physical copy, you're no longer allowed to have the digital copy.
Oh, no. How do you like that? I like them apples.
Well... Anyway, you would then claim that you had the physical copy originally. Here's, the proof that you had. I don't know. All the people who have ROMs...
My Nintendo archives, the physical archives, were stolen from me years ago, and I... Yeah.
So let's continue with the article here from Kotaku.
Yeah, please.
And by the way, not all ROMs are good. Most of the old Nintendo ones are pretty decent, but when you start getting to some of the current models, it depends on whoever's writing those ROMs for you.
No. You're talking about the emulator.
No.
So
yeah. So there are better emulators than others, but no,
the ROM's just the game software.
Not all ROMs have been transferred well
properly. Okay, I can see that would be the case. But
just like if you go to
it's a copy of a copy.
Basically. Download.
No, it's not like that. Conan.
Movies from crappy film something. There are some cuts. There are some pirated versions of movies that are better than others. There are some where it's a guy with a camera and you see the people getting up and walking in front.
That's not what we're talking about here. You're not. It's not. I know what you're saying, but it's not relatable to this.
So you are blaming bad gameplay on the emulator.
It's the emulator. So unless there was some sort of corruption in the download process, a dirty pin or something like that prohibited the actual copy from. Not particularly. I've never had this. I've never seen this in all of the time I've known about emulators. What you're talking about, where some sort of game itself would be corrupt. That's the least likely problem. It's not a copy of a copy problem. That's a problem that only exists in old analog formats for the most part, unless we're talking about encoded video. So if you take video that's been encoded at a low bit rate and then you re-encode it, yes, you're going to have the copy of a copy problem. But if you're just downloading data directly from a drive or a game in this case, you should be able to do a checksum on that data to make sure, or a hash or whatever, to make sure that it's the exact same data. So if you know what you're doing, you're not going to have a messed up copy of the game. Some emulators, because again, an emulator, what it's doing is it's taking the old hardware, because all these video game systems are custom hardware with, a Motorola chipset that does a specific set of tasks. And so your computer today is obviously much, much more powerful than the hardware in a Nintendo Entertainment System from the 1980s.
Yes.
Your computer today is, multiple times more powerful than a Sega Genesis or even a Nintendo 64 or, as you get older. But your computer today may not be as powerful as a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3. So you probably don't have, particularly good PS3 emulators out there in the market. So usually emulators are kind of for the older game systems, and they tend to, these days, work pretty well. But some of them aren't very good at emulating the music in games. Some of them aren't very good at emulating some games compared to others. There's usually lists of games with each emulator that they know they have problems with, and they're just not, for whatever reason, they're not able to really come up with a truly accurate portrayal of those games. So the true video game purists don't like emulators because there's always something wrong with an emulated game. Maybe the sound is a little bit off. It doesn't sound quite the way it originally sounded. That's silly. When you first had it. Or maybe there's going to be a little bit more slowdown than there otherwise would have been. So there's always some kind of issue. But that said, these days, I would say, from my experience, which is limited, most of the games for the older systems are pretty darn spot on. They've done a pretty good job of emulating those things. But let's get back into what Nintendo is doing, targeting the ROM sites, which are these websites that for years have hosted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these ROM files, ostensibly completely illegally. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Video game nostalgia night here on the air as we're covering
Absolutely.
the issue of ROMs and Nintendo. I'd seen this headline. It's interesting that you picked it out, Daryl, because I actually just kind of, I was like, oh, it's another Nintendo story. Because they've been known for going after, not only in this case, what they're targeting now is ROM sites to try to take down Nintendo and Nintendo 64 ROMs from being available on the internet, which of course is a futile task. They're just going to pop up somewhere else. Because all the data is still out there on thousands of, well, not just the dark web, but torrents. Thousands of computers have all of these ROMs, but also targeting their own fans. I remember seeing this. It really reminded me of Metallica back in the Napster days when Metallica was making a big stink about their own fans sharing their music on Napster.
That was mostly Lars.
Well, they all kind of went along with it.
I think he was dragging them.
Maybe. Regardless, it was embarrassing.
It was, and it was, here they are for at least two of the albums. All they sang about was fighting the man.
Did they really?
And they turned out to be the man. I mean, how
ironic.
How ironic.
Yeah. So, but it reminds me of that, where Nintendo, I think one of the things we did talk about within the last 5 years or so was when The Legend of Zelda, which is one of the most popular Nintendo games of all time, it's not only the most popular games, but the series continues to be popular today. I mean, if they basically put The Legend of Zelda on a game, it's going to sell huge amounts of copies. And that's not to say any of them have been bad. I'm sure there have been some less than stellar entries, but generally it's revered as a very highly, recommended series. Anyway, so on its 30th anniversary of the original one, which was within the last few years, some fans, some total fanatics of this game, redid the entire game for, like, I don't know if it was in Flash or whatever it was, but it was for the computer basically, and they made it look better. They changed the graphics to look more kind of modern, but still be kind of 80s retro at the same time. And it looked amazing, and they did an incredible job with what they basically were calling was like a 30-year tribute to The Legend of Zelda. They weren't selling the game; they were just letting anybody who wanted to play this version of this new 2015 or whatever year it was version of Zelda. And Nintendo came down on them with a cease and desist order and demanded that they take their, what was in my opinion a masterpiece looking game down from anybody being able to access.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that stopping this labor of love that this game was somehow going to increase their sales is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Nobody's buying new Legend of Zelda for the NES games.
It reminds me of some of the things that I've heard about, various TV show creators that have gone after fanfic.
Yeah.
Thing, like here's
a fan film,
short little fan film, which is basically a fanfic sort of thing. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that because reasons.
They're my ideas. Those are my characters.
Yeah, isn't Lucasfilm notorious for going after fan-made Star Wars?
I don't know.
What did you call them? A fic? Is that a new
fiction?
thing?
Fic would be short for fiction. So there's the written stories where they'll write about their favorite characters.
There's video, and
then there's movies.
Fanfic would encompass all of it.
And then
whether
there's
it's
the porn.
Written,
they do too. Because there's porn of that. Whatever
but
it is.
Star Trek apparently came out with some very, very rigorous rules of allowed fan film stuff.
That's Paramount Pictures, the owner of Star Trek.
And I forget the specifics.
I remember hearing you have to use their official costumes.
You have to use the official costumes, but you're not allowed to pay people to do anything and this and that, and it can't be over a certain length. And it's very, very strict.
The way I see it as a creator myself, that if a fan loves my work so much that they'll go out of their way to basically rehash what I've already gone through, put their own spin on it. I mean, doesn't that just as far as the free market is concerned, doesn't that just open up the gateways to whatever else I might produce?
Hey guys, thanks for the free advertising.
So yeah, exactly, free advertising.
So when are like Lucasfilms or Paramount or Nintendo going to have people stand around at every Comic-Con waiting to hand out cease and desist orders for every unauthorized cosplayer.
Don't give them any ideas.
You're not allowed to dress up like Yoshi and Mario.
Daryl, I am sure some board member has actually said that out loud.
So let's continue.
Yep. From Kotaku.
Yeah, they say for going on 2 decades, it's been trivially easy to go online and within a few minutes be playing classic video games of yesteryear on your PC.
It's surprisingly easy.
This occurs,
it's illegal, supposedly.
That this occurs without the consent of the copyright holder seems to not matter at all to millions, possibly billions of people who have at one time or another touched an emulator. Publishers see emulators as enabling unfettered piracy. Players see them as a solution to the problem of scarcity.
Right, because if you want to get an old game, and it's an old game that isn't ubiquitous, like, it's not hard to come across a copy of Zelda or Super Mario because there were a zillion of those things sold. Right? There's a bunch of them out there. But some of those games aren't that popular, and they are very expensive.
Yes.
So if you want to be able to play that game legally, you may have to part with $500 or $300 or $100 or whatever, and that gets a little pricey if all you're looking for is a little nostalgic kind of, to relish in the nostalgia, if you will, for just a moment. It is worth mentioning here that despite all the caterwauling that the NES people, or the Nintendo folks, have been making about piracy, they released over the last 2 or 3 years a piece of hardware that is an official NES emulator, and they did one for the Super NES as well.
Yes.
This teeny little version of the NES.
I think in one of the video or one of the games, they've got like some video thing at the beginning where they refer to it as a NES.
Well, it is. It's the Nintendo Entertainment System, the classic. What do they call it? The NES Classic?
Well, no. So there was the debate of whether it's NES or NES.
Oh, as far as how you pronounce it.
And it's officially NES, NES Classic, and Super NES.
Well, it stands for Nintendo Entertainment System. And ultimately, what's interesting is they released these pieces of hardware, and for those that don't know, it actually comes with like 30 games or something like that built onto the hardware. It's just there. So it's basically an emulator with built-in games, and it's made by Nintendo. So if somebody's going to get it right, they're going to get it right. And from what I hear, it was a really slick piece of hardware. The menu system was really nice. It was easy to select the games. It came with a lot of classic games, a lot of the ones that everybody loved.
Is there an option to load more games onto it?
I don't know. I heard there's a slot, but I don't know if they ever utilized that for anything. It's sold out.
Yes.
And it's sold out to the point where people were mad because Nintendo didn't manufacture enough of these things to feed the demand in the marketplace.
It was artificial scarcity, where they said, we're only making 200.
There was more than that, but I think it was probably like 2 million or 200,000 or something. But they sold out in a flash, and people, of course, then started selling them on eBay for 5 times as much or whatever. And then people get mad about that, and they blame, I think rightfully, Nintendo. It's like, look, if you guys are going to claim that emulation has hurt you, then you have no basis for that because you completely sold out every single piece of inventory of this officially licensed emulator that you released.
I see they're currently going for 60 clams.
I've heard they did another
they just
iteration of
re-released and released a lot more.
That's good to hear. Finally, it took them 2 years to finally figure that out?
Yeah.
More coming up here in moments, and all of this while people are still downloading their games.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. Dial on in toll free and take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Discord on-air call-in lines that are open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. So be sure to hop on in over there and interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. And get on the air with us as well. If you want to talk about gaming, of course, you can also bring up anything you want. It's open phones every night here. But we're talking old school games, specifically the sort of the nostalgia of running an emulator, which has been around for decades. I mean, this is something that started, I would say, in the sort of the late 1990s.
Yeah, this article gets into some of the history
of it. And so Nintendo is on the attack against these ROM sites. That's what, Daryl, you've been telling us about here from the Kotaku website. But we're First, I want to let you know about Liberty.menu. If you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you qualify to use Liberty.menu. It is essentially a libertarian business directory. It also has listings for events and digital content creators over at Liberty.menu. You go there. It's free to use. Sign up for your account. You can use code FTL if you want to get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. We can't really give you a discount because it's free to use Liberty.menu. There are a few things you can pay for an upgrade for your listings,
yes.
But the basic level free listings, you can have more than one if you want. So if you got more than one thing that you do, more than one business or entrepreneurial thing that you want other libertarians to find out about, put it up on Liberty.menu. That's Liberty.menu. As we go and continue, Ian, Conan, and Daryl. Continue, Daryl. They are attacking ROM websites, which for years have been just openly hosting access to thousands of ROMs. If you go to, for instance, Cool ROM was one of the ones that I was aware of, and it appears that they have taken down their Nintendo listings. There's another one, ROMHustler.net, that does appear to still have Nintendo NES, Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, Super Nintendo. So they've still got all of the Nintendo cartridges and such there. I presume. At least there's a listing of them. Oh, wait, never mind. I take it back. If you actually click on Super Mario Brothers, which is the #1 most downloaded ROM for the NES, it says this is an ESA protected ROM. Download is disabled. So they're cracking down and they're having success, apparently.
The article, again, says publishers see emulators as enabling unfettered piracy. Players see them as a solution to the problem of scarcity. This divide will likely never truly be crossed, as neither of these arguments has a monopoly on the truth. What is certainly true is this. Though it may not have been the goal of those who initially started coding emulators and dumping ROMs, emulation is absolutely vital to the preservation of gaming history. And the author says by that, I don't just mean making sure a copy of every game exists somewhere on a dusty library shelf, but that the history of games is something that everyone can experience, play, and learn from. And the heart of the debate is not the emulators. Federal courts have already ruled that that is legal.
The emulator itself is legal.
Yes. But ROMs, the term for the software that they play,
not legal. Unless you already have the game.
By the way, this is kind of like
the thing that's
the claim.
In the debate.
This is kind of like New Hampshire, where it's completely legal to own a still. You just can't use it. You just can't use it.
Right, and part of that's because there's a federal prohibition about distilling and whatnot.
Oh, really? It's not a state law?
There is a state law.
Okay.
There is also a federal law. The state law, when there was a bill to repeal the state law, was not repealed because there is a federal law.
I see.
And the chairman of the committee said, I don't want to create confusion by repealing a state law when something is federally illegal.
One more reason to secede.
Yep.
Yeah. So then they talk about some of the history where emulators, they say, grew up with the internet in the 1990s. As more and more households got online, they discovered a wonderful wonderland of gaming delights, all there for the taking. It's easy to take the position that nothing should ever be copied without the explicit permission of the copyright holder. But a world without ROMs would be a bleak one indeed, especially considering the nature of video games as a medium and what happens to them once their shelf life, or that of the hardware they're played on, has expired. Copyright law has a lot to do with this.
Yeah, that's a great point. Before you go on, I mean, at some point, the Nintendo Entertainment System, I think, came out in 1984 or thereabouts. At some point, maybe it was 86, somewhere in that range. But that's
mid-80s,
40 years ago. That's 44 years ago. Or not 44, 34. That's right. Decades ago. And the hardware is getting harder and harder. Even though there's a zillion of the Nintendo Entertainment Systems out there, back in the 80s they had issues. You remember blowing in the cartridges and blowing in the the Nintendo
Q-tips and alcohol.
Right. They had issues back then. Can you imagine how many of those things are completely out of commission now? I mean, even the best taken care of systems, there's probably only a small percentage of those out there. So over time, another 30 years goes by. How many of those are going to be completely, down and out? So their suggestion here that eventually the original hardware is going to be completely gone, I mean, that's got to be a true statement, right? This stuff can't last forever. They're machines. They're going to break. So what do you do with all these old games Is there going to be a legal way to play Mario Brothers in 60 years when none of the actual original Nintendo Entertainment Systems remain?
But here's my big question: if they're not even making money off these old games, they're not manufacturing these games any longer, and yet they're still
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, but there's
copyright law doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they're spending
doesn't
money.
Matter.
They are spending money fighting this
Doesn't
situation
matter.
on something they're not making money off of, and it only makes it's only free advertising, as we said before.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
free.
and
It's free. So now it's free
part of it-
advertising for
hold on.
Final Fantasy 15 or whatever.
So-
Someone gets nostalgic and wants to play Final Fantasy 1.
So part of it has to do with how absolutely, utterly ridiculous copyright law is, and this article gets into that.
All right, good.
But let's say that, well, they don't have any intents to make a new Mario Brothers today, but because they still have a copyright for another 105 years or something, because current copyright law is corporate creations are copyrighted for 125 years after the date of creation. Well, we've still got however many years of copyright on Mario Brothers, and you lose the copyright if you don't enforce claims. So if somebody's doing something
and you don't do something
and
about
you
it?
don't try to stop them,
so Nintendo
then
has to
by
do
default it sort of enters the
Man.
public domain, kind of, maybe, even though technically somebody has a copyright, but they stopped enforcing the copyright, so therefore they don't really get too selectively enforced.
Okay, well that kind of makes sense. So they're worried about pirates they're working about
That's what
competitors.
we talked about. Yes, they're worried about pirates because they have to be worried about pirates because in 40 years we might want to release another Mario Brothers, and if we don't stop pirates today,
So
we can't
stupid.
release it then.
Well, they could. I mean, the idea that if there's a pirate out there prevents you from putting out software is absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
Right, but their thinking is, oh, well, somebody came up with a fan fiction, so therefore we can't make any more Star Trek Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so silly. It's just
I
so
know
silly.
it's silly. So let's continue with
Yeah.
the article here, where
People
again,
want to play the original McCoy, in the same
I
way
don't
that
know what that means.
the original
Bones.
in the same way.
I thought McCoy was some video game from the 80s
Actually,
that
it probably
I'd
is.
never heard of.
It probably is somewhere.
People want the original. In the same way that, yes, the fake Gucci and fake Louis Vuitton bags are available that you can buy, purses or whatever, from China. And
Right.
I remember years ago when I was in Florida, my girlfriend at the time was invited to a fake Tupperware, how they had Tupperware parties where network marketing and whatever, they actually had a party where they were selling fake Louis Vuitton purses and things like that. And some people are okay with buying the fake things.
Do you know how you can tell it's a fake Louis Vuitton?
No.
It doesn't have the LV inside the little patterns.
There are ways to tell the differences. But even if somebody does get the pattern right, I mean, whatever, it's still somebody out there wants to pay $1,500 for a purse or whatever it is
Right.
a Louis Vuitton purse actually
And
costs.
someone only wants to pay $30 for it.
Right. And you know what? Who cares? They're still selling these insanely priced purses despite the fact that there are Chinese knockoffs all over the place.
I like my $30 Polex.
So there's more coming up here in moments. You can share your thoughts on piracy, on Nintendo attacking these ROM sites.
Attacking its fans.
We got more coming up here in moments. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dillon Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dillon bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dillon bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dillon bottle today at dyln.co. That's dyln.co.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, bring up whatever you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm as we are learning about Nintendo targeting ROM sites with takedown notices. Every site I've checked so far, you cannot download Nintendo ROMs from. Boo. And I gotta say, I'm surprised that any of these ROM sites are actually based in the United States. Like, why would you base your site in the United States if you were a ROM site, which ultimately is a site, for listeners that don't know, that houses thousands of classic video game files, basically the actual game files from the original cartridges or CD-ROMs, available for download. Many of them have been available for years upon years, decades, in fact. Some of these sites have been around. There's actually a letter on muparadise.me, which when you go to the Nintendo game there and you click to try to download it, it takes you to this letter saying that they from receiving threatening letters in the early days to our host suddenly shutting down our servers due to complaints, we've seen it all. In 18 years, we've always complied with takedown requests, but as you can see, that's no guarantee of anything. He says, I started MU Paradise 18 years ago because I never got to play many of these amazing retro games while growing up in India, and I wanted other people to be able to experience them. Over the years, many folks have joined in and contributed to this vision, and I think that I can say we've been successful in spreading our passion for retro games far and wide. Through the years, I've worked tirelessly with the rest of MU Paradise's team to ensure that everyone could get their fix of retro gaming. We've received thousands of emails from people telling us how happy they've been to rediscover and even share their childhood with the next generations in their families. We've had emails from soldiers at war saying the only way they got through their days was to be lost in their retro games they played when they were children. We've gotten emails from brothers who have lost their siblings to cancer and were able to find solace in playing the games they once did as children. There are countless stories like these. He says it's been a long and beautiful journey with many ups and downs. When I started MU Paradise, things could have gone either way, but right now, the direction they're going in could not be more than clear. So where does that leave us? It's not worth it for us to risk potentially disastrous consequences. Read Nintendo lawsuit. He says, I cannot in good conscience risk the futures of our team members who've contributed to the site through the years. We run MU Paradise for the love of retro games and for you to be able to revisit those good times. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now to do so in a way that makes everyone happy and keeps us out of trouble. This is an extremely emotional decision for me after running the site for so many years, but he says, I believe it's the right thing for us to do at this time. Thus, we've decided to make a new start. We will continue to be passionate retro gamers and keep doing cool stuff around retro games, but you won't be able to get your games from here for now. Where we go with this is up to us and up to you. So they're still going to keep information there about emulators, allow you to download the emulators themselves, but you'll have to be a little more, I guess, aware of options as far as how you'll be able to get these things. I imagine that'll take a little bit more Googling, maybe a visit to the dark web. I don't know where they're going to hide them, but I can rest assured the treasure trove of NES ROMs is still out there on the internet somewhere, and somebody knows where to find them.
An option might be, and I don't know, I've not tried this, but type in whatever the thing is that you're looking for, and then the word torrent.
That might be one
an option.
That might be one. All right, yeah. So you've got a story from Kotaku that you're continuing here, talking about the copyright that makes it so Nintendo may feel as though they have to do more cracking down than less.
Right, and he gets into copyright law itself in this part of the article, and he says librarians called copyright law the 20th century black hole. You can log onto the internet and find creative work spanning almost the whole of human history. According to the internet, though, people by and large stopped creating things in the early 1900s and only started up again around the year 2000. What happened? Copyright, or more clearly, our modern version of copyright, as exaggerated, metastasized versions that now are doing a great deal of harm to history.
Wait. So this article is saying that people started making new content in the 2000s? And for 100 years they weren't. I see this. We talked about this last week. The blurring. This is the century that they've stopped making new content. It's all remakes.
Yeah, I don't know what they're referring to.
I'll explain. And he explains the history of copyright law, where originally in 1790, the very first copyright law in the U.S. was passed that set a term of copyright for 14 years with the option to extend for one additional term of 14 years. That was later changed, much later, to the life of the author plus 50 years, and then it was changed to the current life of the author plus 70 years. If the work was authored by a corporation, U.S. law currently protects it, he says, for 95. I thought it was 125. It's a situation that the Internet Archive's Jason Scott says is tantamount to perpetual copyright. It's not good law. Music, books, and films from the year 1923 were set to become public domain in 1999, but now only in 2019 will copyrights finally start expiring again. That means we'll be able to freely copy every movie made in 1923, right? Well, theoretically, but in actuality, no, because tons of them are gone. So what he's talking about here is all of these creations from 1923 to now, they're very difficult to get a hold of. Whereas with the internet becoming a thing, that really took off in the early 2000s, it's much easier to find things that are being created now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that's what they're referring to as that 20th century black hole, to where a book released in 1924, unless somebody transcribed the book and then posted a copy somewhere,
right, or scanned it,
so
you're not going to find a copy of that book.
So a black hole of fan access, of free fan access, whereas as far as
not just fan access, but I dare you,
people who are interested
go
in
to
having
a bookstore and try to get a copy of some obscure book that was released in 1924. You're probably not going to be able to do it because it went out of print a long time ago.
Right.
The company that had the copyright, they closed down.
And actually, and I have this experience in looking at an older book, a 120-year-old book now, and the only copy I was able to find was a PDF of the original copy, and it's hard to navigate.
Yeah, he continues, it turns out that in many cases, or most cases, the actual work itself, the physical copies of the book, don't survive 95 years. Film disintegrates. Books are pulped, if not burned, and old electronics fail. Video games likely won't suffer a similar fate as films, but that's only thanks to the efforts of hobbyists, archivists, programmers, and historians operating outside the boundaries of what they're strictly allowed to do. This is especially true when we're talking about games that only exist as a single prototype copy or were produced in such low numbers that they were particularly susceptible to simply being lost forever. Desert Bus?
Well, Desert Bus never actually was officially
It was a prototype.
released. Correct.
And he mentions things that were a prototype that never got released, but because somebody saved a copy somewhere,
it's there
we
now.
now get to enjoy the wonders that is Desert Bus.
And because, for listeners that don't know what Desert Bus is, because you probably
the
don't.
greatest video game of all time.
No, it's not. Have you ever played Desert Bus?
For about 45 seconds
Okay.
and then stopped.
Because it's that awful.
No, I just didn't have 8 hours to continue playing by continuously hitting the same key.
Yeah, so it's Penn and Teller. They were making a game back in the early 1990s for the Sega CD video game system, which was noteworthy for its time because it was like basically the first U.S. released kind of CD-ROM based system. You could argue TurboGrafx beat them to it, but ultimately Night Trap, one of the classics on the system. But it was noteworthy because it could do what they did in Night Trap, which was have what they call full motion video. And so the video game was going to have clips of Penn and Teller in very grainy, old, ugly, early 90s quality, digital video, introducing these games that you could play. These little, it was a CD with a bunch of different mini games on it. And Desert Bus was one of those games. And the idea was that it was supposed to be a terrible game. And that was the joke, was Desert Bus was this god-awful simulator of driving from Las Vegas to, like, somewhere in Arizona or Texas
it was
or something.
From somewhere in Arizona to Las Vegas.
And it was an 8-hour drive, and basically there's nothing that changes on the screen with the exception of, like, a tumbleweed that goes by. The bus has a problem, so it's constantly veering to the left. So if you don't keep hitting the button, the right button or left button or whatever, to keep the bus on the road, you'll crash. So you can't just leave the game there and walk away from it. And they turned it into a charity. We can talk about that coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you experienced the miracle of CBDs? They can help you reduce suffering, reduce stress, help you sleep better, modulate inflammation in the body, and is absolutely safe. Meta Hemp Solutions offers a radically innovative approach to CBDs for exceptional results. Stop suffering and reduce your stress now. Isn't it time for a good night's sleep? Stop worrying about tomorrow today. Lab tested for potency, purity, and is non-psychoactive. Free shipping to all 50 states. Try our product risk-free, money-back guarantee. Use code GCN15 to get 15% off. That's code GCN15 to get 15% off. Offer ends soon, so visit MetaHemp Solutions today at metahempsolutions.com or call 833-858-7500. Suffer no more. Get rid of the stress and sleep better. Get our product now at metahempsolutions.com. That's metahempsolutions.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.87 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,201 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $22, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,674. Antiwar.com reports Russia's foreign ministry reacted critically to the U.S. Treasury Department's new announcement of sanctions on Tuesday, saying the allegations of malicious cyber attacks were groundless. The cyber activities were allegedly centered on evading previous sanctions. The sanctions targeted Slovakia-based Lacno SRO and Russia's Velomarine. The Russian company said it was baffled by the decision to target them, as the U.S. claims the diving equipment they provided to the Russian government was used to violate sanctions. Russian officials said the whole sanctions effort was done under false pretense, and that the Russians would soon offer a retaliation against the U.S. over the sanctions. Both sides have launched tit-for-tat measures against one another for years, and despite the Trump administration wanting to improve relations, they are constantly hitting Russia with new sanctions. Where this all ends is anyone's guess, but Russia has tended to make its retaliatory moves as close as possible to identical to the U.S. moves. This likely means they'll target a couple of Western companies and officials in this case. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports the U.S. Coast Guard referred the deadly sinking of a Missouri amphibious tour boat to federal investigators for a possible criminal case on Tuesday. Coast Guard spokeswoman Alana Miller confirmed the case in which the so-called duck boat capsized on Table Rock Lake near Branson, Missouri, killing 17 people, was referred to U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Missouri. Miller said during the course of the initial part of our investigation, the fact-finding part, we identified stuff that could point to some sort of criminal activity, and we are not in the business of criminal investigations. After the boat was raised out of the water last month, Coast Guard Lieutenant Tasha Sanowik said the military branch's investigation would focus on the limits on when the boat could enter the water based on wind speed and the height of waves. The Coast Guard previously determined the cause of the failure was the rapidly worsening river conditions, but also cited a failure to anticipate the change in the weather conditions. Miller did not clarify what criminal activity is suspected, but said the Marine Board of Investigations used its collective judgment and consulted with its legal department before the incident was referred. She also told the Springfield News later the Coast Guard would continue its safety investigation. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports University of North Carolina police on Tuesday were reviewing video to find the protesters who toppled the statue of a Confederate soldier on campus, part of a recent movement to dismantle U.S. Civil War symbols that critics say glorify the South's legacy of slavery. About 300 demonstrators gathered on Monday evening for a protest and marched at the base of Silent Sam, a memorial erected in 1913 to soldiers of the Confederacy killed during the Civil War. Protesters pulled the statue down with rope, cheering as it lay face down in the mud, its head and back covered in dirt. The University Systems Board Chair Harry Smith and President Margaret Spelling denounced the toppling of the statue in a joint statement. They said the actions were unacceptable, dangerous, and incomprehensible. We are a nation of laws, and mob rule and the intentional destruction of public property will not be tolerated. Last year, UNC students threatened to sue the school, alleging that the university violated federal anti-discrimination laws by allowing the statue to remain on campus. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper said in a statement he shared protesters' frustrations over statues but condemned the violent destruction of public property. Campus police arrested at least one person at the protest for wearing a mask and resisting arrest. The statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee was vandalized and later removed by school officials last year at nearby Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
With each successive bite failing to relieve his anxieties, increasingly worried man Dylan Hawks told reporters today that he has yet to come across any trace of guacamole in his burrito, despite having specifically requested it when ordering.
No, there definitely wasn't any guac there. Cheese, beans, chorizo. Oh man, I hope they didn't forget.
Hawks has continued to maintain hope that there may still be an undiscovered sliver of avocado somewhere in his tortilla. However, with his fears for the meal mounting, Hawks has reportedly considered asking the cashier for a refund at various points while eating the burrito.
The thing is, if you had a burrito and it was missing cheese, you might not notice it because there's sour cream, but guacamole is completely different. I just don't know how I wouldn't have tasted it by now. Christ, I'm almost done with this thing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves. And we're talking about video games, although you can bring up anything that's on your mind. We're talking about Nintendo targeting ROM sites with takedown notices, threats of legal action, and it appears to be working. Every ROM site I have checked so far during the show tonight, including some sites that have been around for many years that had previously been quite reliable sources for these ROMs. And ROMs, for those that don't know, are downloadable versions of classic video games generally. I guess you can get a ROM for a newer game, but there's not much you can do with them because emulators, you're not going to find a PS4 emulator out there. That just doesn't exist. The current computer technology has to be much, much more powerful than the game system they're trying to emulate to do it in any decent way. So it's Ian Conan and Daryl in the studio tonight. We're going to get back into the story. Daryl, I think there might be some more from Kotaku.
Oh, there's definitely more, and I'm actually going to try skipping some of it.
We're going to go first, though, to Greg. He's in Brooklyn, New York. I know you were calling about a different topic tonight, Greg. Any comments on the ROM sites being targeted? You seem like a guy who might know a thing or two about that.
I'm sorry I missed the beginning of it, but you made me look up Desert Bus, and I was fascinated. Apparently, it's used for charity now.
Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. So I was going to explain the charity aspect of this. So had there been some sort of copyright protection on Desert Bus, this terrible old game that Penn and Teller were going to release.
And by terrible, you mean the greatest game ever.
In the mid-1990s, but it never came out. If there was some sort of protection on that, then they never would have been able to release it. But they did release it, and they've turned it into a charity event where people will sit and play Desert Bus for as long as they possibly can, and they will earn pledges or whatever in order to go to charity.
So I'm actually on a website, desertbus.org. Apparently
That's
there's
the
going to
site,
be
I think.
Some kind of event on November 9th on Twitch.
Oh, of course.
I don't even see alcohol in this photo. How are they even doing this? They're a bunch of...
There's got to be alcohol
No,
involved.
they're just having fun throwing confetti and playing Desert Bus. It's stupid. But what is
well,
it?
I mean, hey, some kid's probably benefiting from some charity thing or whatever. I don't know which charity it benefits, but this is how this is the new gaming reality, Conan, where people play video games for charity.
Gone are the days of LAN parties, and now they're all...
Well, no, they have LAN parties. They actually have...
Where?
Dude, they have LAN
Unless you're talking about
conventions.
E-gaming.
Well, they have that. This is this supposed esports thing where they have teams and like they've got sports fans now for video games, which is, I think, ridiculous. Like video gamers have become the very people that they talked crap about previously, right? Because some gamers, I'm sure, talked crap about sports fans, and now you've got video gaming sports fans who are just as annoying as sports fans are with all their facts and statistics and information about their players.
Did you see how well we did?
Yeah, that
you
kind
didn't
of crap.
do crap, man. You sat in the audience. You didn't participate in that move.
So, let's see. We were talking about Desert Bus, right? The charity. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway,
but what is a charity for? I want to know.
I don't know.
Child's Play. So I'm on the website right now on the FAQ. They say, what is Child's Play? Child's Play is a registered charity based in Seattle, dedicated to improving the lives of children in hospitals and domestic violence shelters through the power of play.
So I'm guessing Chucky isn't their
Correct.
mascot. Okay.
Not Chucky.
All right, Greg, go ahead. What are you calling about?
Well, I don't know about you guys. The only video game that I play is Warcraft 2, which is like 1995. And apparently there's still a group of people who go to war2.ru, it's apparently in Russia, and they still play it. And it's like, I don't know, 23 years later.
They're still playing. Could you play that game over the internet back in the day, or was it like a local game? You can only play locally on a LAN.
It was the first Warcraft game you could play over the internet.
Oh,
and
I remember.
Blizzard actually made Battle.net, which was like their...
Yep.
I remember what I was going to tell you, Conan. You talked about LAN parties, which in the
StarCraft.
90s, people would bring their computers to a room. Usually, young males would bring their computers to a room. It was very rare that a female would show up at one of these things, from what I understand. But you'd bring your computers to a room. You'd hook them all up in a local area network.
The worst part was the monitor,
and that because they were gigantic. But you'd hook them up with a local area network, and you'd play Doom or Warcraft or whatever on a LAN, and people would drink whatever they drank, usually caffeinated beverages because they couldn't get alcohol because they were too young, that kind of thing.
Mountain Dew.
Well, now those people are in their 40s, and they're throwing conventions. There's this one that they went to, one of the Twitchers that I watch on Twitch. She went down to Austin, Texas, where they had this one that's been like worldwide. It's a convention that happens all over the place. And they brag because they get like the biggest possible internet connection, the fastest possible internet connection, like temporarily installed at the venue. And so that's
and
one
they
of the
bog it down.
And that's one of the big deals is like they got plenty of bandwidth. And they literally have thousands of people come there and join their LAN party. And then
I'm looking at LAN party list.
And then these fanatics, and then these like not fanatics, but the fanatics of the people who broadcast video games on Twitch, they all show up there because they want to see their favorite Twitch gamer in real life. These are superstars, man. Like these Twitch gamers, they have millions. Like we got 400 followers, right, on Twitch, and I'm like, I'm excited. There's people with 400,000 followers and that kind of thing, like millions of followers. And when they go somewhere, they're bigger than Brad Pitt. That's like the reality of where.
Has Brad Pitt even played a video game in the last 20 years?
I don't know. Anyway, Greg, you weren't calling about gaming, so go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, I wanted to apply the principles of open source freedom to other aspects besides software. And I think last time I was talking about intellectual property. Actually, you guys were just talking about intellectual property. For me, copyright is less egregious than patents because at least with copyright, there's only the one work that you specifically put together and wrote. But with patents, it's the idea, so you could have this.
Well, no, I mean, copyright is control on ideas. Remember, they restrict the use of characters. So if you've created the characters in your work,
ideas.
There was the estate of J.D. Salinger that sued someone from making an unauthorized sequel because the character was the same.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I would say that if I was going to try to abolish intellectual property, I'd definitely start with patents because, frankly, even if the character in, let's say, any movie is restricted, that's a fantasy world. That's not really, the world is not really that much worse off than if a drug is restricted from being sold, you know? So I'd much rather have copyright, fine, but the patent system, here's what I'm going to say about that. The patent system essentially sets up the U.S., mostly the U.S., to do all the R&D, put all the cost of R&D on the U.S., and then we say, well, we're, you know, like you guys, I think someone said it last time, we're doing the R&D for the rest of the world, just like we're paying for the rest of the army. But, like, who asked us to do that? We're just going after everyone else who's trying to build on top of what we do, like Jonas Salk, who just gave away the polio vaccine. We would sue a guy like that today if they built on top of what we're doing. So I'd rather have everyone pitching in a little bit and solve malaria, solve all these other long tail problems.
Right. When you have
the
freedom of ideas, when you can transfer an idea and copy an idea without having to pay somebody a bunch of money for a licensing fee, that opens up the ability to create new things. And we've seen it in the world of cryptocurrency, where if you want to make a new crypto like they did with Zencash, now known as Horizon, you just crib the best ideas from the ones that already exist and put it together and put it out there. And you don't have to ask anybody's permission to do so. And that makes for a more robust economy. It makes for more options in the marketplace. It means the best will rise to the top. But it does mean there are a lot of choices, and that can be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, the problem with patents, which, by the way, last 20 years here in the U.S. Compared to what the 75 or the 100 years or whatever it is on copyrights, the problem is the stagnation, where you've got a company who does put the legwork in there. They do try to produce something that they can sell,
and then they sit on
it and they stagnate, and it's like, what happened to the better mousetrap?
Well,
there's always going to be a better mousetrap.
I'm
glad that China
FDA.
and India are ripping off our materials, because that would actually cause us to build a better mousetrap.
Hold on, Daryl, if you want to comment there. We thank you, Greg, for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. We can continue with whatever you want to bring up on Free Talk Live at 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will advance the decentralization of the Zencash network and ensure the utility not only of Zencash as a currency, but also the future services that will be layered in the infrastructure. Learn more at zencash.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
After logging onto the Xbox One game console at one of his classmates' homes, 12-year-old Michael Cutler admitted to reporters this week that he really does not have the slightest clue about what his friend's name could be.
I mean, his name might be Brian. No, wait, Brian's my other friend, the one with the PS4.
Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, there's no way I can tell you his name. Not a chance.
Noting that the boy had, quote, an absolutely huge HD TV and a bunch of games his mom won't let him play, Cutler confirmed that he could recall only the faintest details about his friend, including the fact that his mother makes chocolate chip cookies and that he has a dog of some kind.
He's got Killer Instinct, Assassin's Creed, Battlefield 4, and Titanfall? Man, that game's awesome. Anyway, I've just been calling him Flamethrower because that's his gamer tag. Hopefully he doesn't catch on. Hey, can I stick around for a few more hours? I'm so close to beating this.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated, so send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks, or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, we've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms that are available to you wherever you are in the world. Our next caller there is going to be from across the pond over in Ireland. We'll get to him in just a moment. Daryl, I know you wanted to make a point about the FDA regarding copyrights or patents and that kind of thing.
Regarding patents, specifically with drugs, and this is something that Dr. Mary Ruwart has talked about and written about extensively, is the approval process from the FDA. Because of however lengthy that process is, if somewhere along the testing process any minor thing goes wrong, then you might have to just scrap the entire thing, even though the drug itself might have been good, but you didn't know exactly what the dosage should have been. So when you were doing like stage 1 testing, you didn't get the results you were looking for, and then scrap the whole thing and then make a minor tweak to whatever the thing was and then start the process all over again.
Yeah, well,
which is why it cost like $1 billion to get something approved.
It's ridiculous. That's why is medicine so expensive? Well,
FDA.
That's pretty much the reason. Intellectual property and government hurdles to regulation, or government hurdles to development.
Intended to protect us, they say.
That's the claim.
And all it really does is it makes it even worse and takes it even longer to progress.
Yeah, it's only protecting the the existing oligopoly
system, the monopoly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're an oligopoly, but yes. So Ian, Conan, and Daryl in the studio here tonight as we've been digging into the world of gaming takedowns targeted by Nintendo. Websites like the ISO Zone, websites like MU Paradise, Cool ROM. There's a bunch of ROM sites out there that have been around for more than a decade, 2 decades in some cases, that now many of them have completely not only taken down their Nintendo inventory of ROMs, which are, again, the sort of digital downloadable games that are essentially the same games as the classic systems had back in the 80s and 90s. They've taken down every single ROM from their sites.
Right, and this article from Kotaku says that some of the sites have just ceased to exist altogether.
Oh, I believe it. Well, I mean, that's the only point that they have. I mean, the ISO Zone has a forum, I guess, but the whole point of the ISO Zone was to go and download a bunch of ROMs. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the website. Why not just go ahead and close it down at this point? Because, your purpose, your reason for existing
is pretty much done with. And again, if you're hosting one of these sites in another country, then why you even care, I don't know. Like if you host this site in some country where they don't care about copyright, those must exist, right? Like China or something like that. Then why would you even shut it down? And indeed, we did finally find one site that has not completely shut down. And I found this on a thread somewhere. Vim.net, VIMM.net. They have what they call The Vault, where they've got 11 classic game systems, starting with the NES and going through the Nintendo DS. So about 20 years worth of gaming systems there, and they claim to have every single video game officially released for those systems. But this also means that a lot of the ROM collections, where people will take the original game of, let's say, Super Mario Brothers, and they'll use whatever wizardry of hacking they have to change the game, where they'll actually change the levels, they'll change the characters, they'll change the graphics, they'll change all kinds of things about the original game. They're called hacks.
All right.
And so you can find, like, if you love...
And not to be confused with... and they also add mods.
But the whole thing's basically a modification.
Correct.
But the idea is for people that just can't get enough Super Mario Brothers, well, now somebody just made 50 new levels or whatever, and usually they're like super, super hard, insane difficulty. I don't know if those are still going to be available, but everything I've checked so far, it seems like major takedowns here because of Nintendo.
Yeah, and there's more to this article. The author says there's no telling what sort of an effect the proliferation of ROMs has had on the popularity of video games. A recent Vice story shows how easy access to the creations opened up the world of games to billions of people. Outwardly, Nintendo maintains a hardline stance against unauthorized emulation, but Frank Cifaldi, the game industry's most prominent advocate for historical preservation, noted in that Vice piece that Nintendo's official re-releases of classic games uses emulator technology that built upon the works that hobbyists had done prior.
They stole their software from the fans.
Seriously? How can they know that for sure? Like, how could they? Did they decompile Nintendo's emulator?
I don't know, but
and like found the exact same code from some hacker's emulator.
Do you remember a few years ago when Windows 7 came out and Windows ran all of these ads, basically bragging that they were stealing ideas? Where there would be people say, I wanted blah-da-da-da-da in my operating system. Windows 7 was my idea. And they had like a dozen people in the ad. And at the end, Microsoft basically wound up bragging that they took all of these ideas whilst simultaneously suing people for using any derivative of anything that Microsoft has ever come up with as some form of illegal modification to something.
Where did I hear? I saw something about Sega apparently taking a position of, hey, we don't care what you do with our games. I feel like I saw that somewhere, and somebody did point out that's probably because Sega is basically a dead organization, and so they just don't care anymore, and they're just like, screw it.
I'm glad you mentioned dead organizations. Yeah. Skipping down in the article here, he says, let's not forget about Nintendo, whose library comprises but a tiny fraction of all the old games that need to be preserved. Nintendo at least keeps up a lot of its stuff in print, but many of the games today are in what might be called copyright limbo. Perhaps the publisher completely shut down, leaving the question of who owns the copyright up in the air. Perhaps the game uses licensed characters
or music. They call that abandonware. There's a name for that. Abandonware.
Well, continuing on, he says maybe the game uses licensed characters or music, meaning that it could not be published again without multiple rights holders working on a new contract. So, yeah, let's just say that the company that released the game is out of business, but they had an agreement with Sony for something. They had an agreement with Apple Music for something. So that creates a bunch of other confusion. Sometimes, as Cifaldi points out, when a game like this is released, the right holder has to source the actual data from ROMs on the internet because the originals were thrown in a dumpster when the company moved
out of
offices
business.
20 years ago. Games like this are by and large simply never going to be released again. It's important to consider that in many cases this might not only be bad for history but also against the desires of the people who created the games. He says,
of course, they don't own them.
Right.
If you're just a programmer for Nintendo, Nintendo holds the copyright, not the creators of those games. I mean,
Right.
It hurts, but that's just welcome to copyright.
The author here says, I don't make games, but I do write books. Recently, I was able to get the rights back to a book I wrote in 2004 so that I could republish. And this opens up a whole other can of worms
And you're a
about the
publisher.
publishing industry.
Right. So if you want to join us here, we're talking copyright, intellectual property, as it applies to video games, as Nintendo targets ROM fans, its own fans on the internet. It's Free Talk Live.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me. About my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
If you're tired of the two-party system but want to support a principled Libertarian Party, check out the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire at lpnh.org. That's lpnh.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And Daryl.
Hey, if you're into cryptocurrency and you're also into the world of retail, if you're a manager or an owner of a retail establishment, you want to be able to take crypto at your point of sale, the folks over at AnyPay have made it about as easy as it possibly can be. You go to anypay.global, and you can get signed up there. If you already have a tablet, you're halfway done. It's so fast. You just create your username and password, you put your crypto wallet addresses into the setup page, and then you load the wallet, or you load the point of sale app on your tablet at your point of sale, and that's it. You're done. So if you already have a crypto wallet and you already have a tablet, you pretty much have done almost everything you need except for creating your account and putting your wallet address in. So go to anypay.global. You can get started there and accept Bitcoin as well as Dash, Zcash, and more. Once again, that's anypay.global. As we continue here, we're going to Discord, the on-air call-in line room, where Hari255 is on the line from Ireland. Go ahead.
Yes, hi guys. Just wanted to pitch in there on the conversation you're having about
on the what?
Intellectual property, copyright.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like I studied a little bit of intellectual property, and basically, like you're saying, Nintendo is getting all the websites to pull down all their games and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're scared. They've got all these sites taking them down.
Yeah. Well, on that, it's like, they can be what they're challenging their these websites is like, the website are actually storing the codes, like the actual game, but that's all they can do. They can threaten them, because
they can file a lawsuit against them if they've got a nexus in the United States. They can get them.
And based on previous court rulings, because they're using this thing called the internet, and people in the United States can access the internet, then therefore jurisdiction. And there have been all kinds of previous lawsuits of, you illegally downloaded something, so we're going to file this outrageous fine against you. And there's always, a story every few years about some single mother that had downloaded a couple of albums and gets a $500,000 fine.
Yeah, but I understand that. But it's different, because this concerns gaming and stuff like that. Actually, what you're saying, in law, that's my opinion, from studying intellectual property law, it's, you can argue about all these things. The only thing they can say, is those websites are actually storing them.
Yes, they were.
Facilitating distribution.
Yes, they absolutely were. These ROM sites had the huge collections of thousands of games. And you could just select whichever system and whichever game you wanted and then click to download. And usually the most you'd have to do is watch an advertisement. And I'm sure most of those companies had no idea they were advertising on pirated game downloads.
Yeah, but the other thing is, copyright is it's something that's called unregistered right. It's up to the person that holds the right to try to enforce them, like you said.
Right, and that's what Nintendo's been doing.
Been on for 20 years or whatever, and they themselves, you're using emulators to be able, emulators is facilitating one to use these games.
Well, it's completely legal to use an emulator. If you have the a copy of the game, a legal copy of the game, then it's completely legal to emulate, as I understand it. Again, I'm not an attorney, but that's my understanding of the court interpretations.
And the article here from Kotaku does mention that there was a federal court ruling, and I think it might have said court rulings, plural, that emulators in and of themselves are not in
Those
violation
are just
of copyright law.
Emulators are just, and thank you, Hari255, for your call tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, and it's all just code.
Well, no, but
but the emulators are code written by the creator of the emulator to emulate the way that the hardware originally worked.
Right.
So that's their original code creation, whereas the code of the games was written by those companies or copyrighted by those companies, and so they have control. Now, Conan, you wanted to address a different aspect, mods?
Well, before that, the only thing this move by Nintendo is actually going to accomplish is it's going to teach the normies how to dig even deeper and go dark.
Go to the dark web.
They're going to learn. This is actually going to teach people how
go to Pirate Bay.
Yeah, correct. I mean,
how to buy an onion router from
everything.
Amazon.
You can get the entire archives readily available on basically any torrent site, any good torrent site out there.
Right now at thepiratebay.org, if you search for NES ROMs, 706 Nintendo NES ROMs, it's about a 70 megabyte download. So
that's the highest download, but there's a lot of other packages available.
There's also 6,666 games for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, and then like 3 other systems.
Just make sure you're using your VPN whenever you do any of this, people.
It's probably a good idea. Yeah.
But the other thing,
it's right there. Some of these things have been sitting here since 2005.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned mods earlier, which is a modification to the game, and I'm going
not to Nintendo,
to any game.
Usually, it's computer games that have mods,
and this is why I don't. This is why, with the exception of like Nintendo and NES, I do not play console games.
Okay.
Console systems.
You're a purist.
I'm a purist. I'm a PC purist. But no, the best games out there are the ones with the modding communities who go into these games. They take the vanilla and they go to town on them. They add characters
so that they
make them better.
Remove King Bowser and replace him with Brock Lesnar.
Well, I mean,
could do that.
You could do that, but I'm talking about the.
But Bowser's a Nintendo character, so it's unlikely there are any real mods for those games. It's the computer games, the ones that are designed for the computer.
Doom.
Like Doom was the first real modded game.
Wolfenstein with
had some of it,
changing the characters into whatever you want to do.
What was the one? Mortal Kombat.
I'm sure there are mods for Mortal Kombat. I've never heard of them, but
I'm just thinking of games that I remember playing.
Mortal Kombat was an arcade game that came out on consoles. There probably is a PC version, but it's probably
I remember playing it on PCs.
It's probably not heavily modded.
Like the late 80s, early 90s.
Daryl, you're leading more on just changing the skins. I'm talking about taking a game and like
new levels,
and changing the levels, changing
total
the core
graphics overhauls.
A prime example would be the Half-Life, where they actually went in there and they made a whole new game, Counter-Strike, off of the old game. But other exceptions are the Fallout series, the Elder Scrolls series.
Those are huge mod communities.
Huge. I mean, they're actually taking older games using like the Skyrim engine, and they're redoing Morrowind.
I have no clue what any of these things are.
But the thing is,
these are large. The Skyrim, Morrowind. This is called the Elder Scrolls. It's historical because it was one of the first games to really do an open world game. So like games
World of Warcraft?
Daggerfall.
No. So like games like Doom are a 3D first person shooter, right? There's a beginning to the level, there's an end to the level.
Yes.
You have to get from the beginning to the end. Sometimes it's somewhat maze-like and there's doors and keys, and eventually if you go at it enough, you're going to find the way through.
Right.
With an open world game, sort of like Grand Theft Auto.
Sandbox game.
The sandbox, where there's a large world. You can go any direction you want to. You're going to encounter, cities in different places and, bad guys in different places and different plot lines that you can kind of follow. So unlike a linear style game where there's the first level and there's the last level, in an open world style game, there's a sort of plot that exists, and you can kind of uncover it as you explore the territory.
Which is probably 1-3% of the game, and the other 97% are everything else you can do.
And so there's a bunch of other things that you can do. You can join factions. You can go on quests that aren't related to the full-on plot of the game.
So like Minecraft.
Minecraft is, I've never played Minecraft, but Minecraft is, I think, more of like a construction kind of world game where
it's open, where there's not a beginning and end.
Yeah.
But here's the point.
You can set up your own server.
You take some of these games who are notably popular.
Yeah.
And they all have these huge modding communities, and that has been the boon of the game makers, the producers. The fan base has actually made the games even better.
That's true.
And now there's a move to get away from that, and I'll talk about it in the next segment.
All right, there's more on the way here. 855 450 free. You can join us in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live next.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. So far in 2018, the Innocence Network has welcomed 32 wrongfully convicted people home from prison for crimes they did not commit and had a record-breaking 850 people unite in Memphis at their annual conference. The movement of freeing the innocent and reforming the criminal justice system is growing and would not be possible without your support. Together as 68 network organizations around the world, they've helped exonerate 513 people who spent a combined total of 7,804 years in prison. They've also worked together to pass over 150 laws in the U.S. to help prevent wrongful convictions. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Get relief for your neck or back pain when you search Amazon for Sunshine Pillows, heating wraps, and pads, often listed as an Amazon choice.
Why take another pill?
Now, from Sunny Bay and by customer demand, we introduce our extra long neck heating wrap, a complete wrap, wide and hands-free, and brings fast relief to those who suffer from neck or back pain.
You can easily find Sunshine Pillows on Amazon.
Or search Amazon for our new Sunny Bay disposable heat pads. Or look for Sunny Bay heated neck wraps for relief from back pain to menstrual pain and cramps.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
See why our company, Biomed DB Design, has a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. Just go to Amazon.com and search Sunny Bay, or call us 253-678-1361.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free. In these remaining moments, we have enough time for you. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Heavy on the video game talk here tonight as we're doing a little nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo, unfortunately, ruined everybody's fun by targeting ROM sites for takedown notices. And now the ROM sites, most of them, are just basically closing up shop. Some of them have completely gone entirely. Others have pulled down their entire inventories. A select few still remain. We were able to find, I think it was Vim, thank you. Vim.net, I think it was.
Vim's Lair.
Vim.net has several systems, including the Nintendo systems, and still has downloadable files. Cool ROM, which was one of the longtime ROM sites, still has all the games for other systems that aren't Nintendo, so Sega Genesis and stuff like that. They've still got those. And of course, for those of you looking for full-on collections, you can still find those through the torrent sites at thepiratebay.org. So anybody with the determination who wants to find these Nintendo games is going to. They will exist on the internet forever, and Nintendo will never truly be able to put a stop to this. But as you pointed out earlier, Daryl, they feel like they have to do this in order to protect their copyrights, because copyright's got some kind of system where if somebody's violating it, you have to go after them in order to show that you still care about protecting the copyright. But of course, they shouldn't care, because even if somebody were to put together a brand new version of Zelda and put it out there, that's still not Nintendo's Zelda, and while some fans may indeed download that version and support that version, ultimately that's not going to take anything significant away from whatever Nintendo's next release of Zelda is. I'm sorry. To believe that your product is so easily duplicatable and that, you aren't the one that's creating the best version of it, or that you'd be afraid that somebody could do a better job than you and you need the government there to keep you safe. What a just wimpy, weak position. Yep. So lame.
And like I said, if anything, having Zelda 1 available to the fans is only going to bolster the sales of whatever Zelda you're working on now. It's just because you're always gonna have that crowd that just want to, and they're probably they'll download it and install it, and they might not play for 15 minutes. And then decide, you know what, this is a little too retro for me.
Exactly.
The actual percentage of gamers out there who actually play retro games from
start to finish,
very, very small.
I've never done it. all the times I've ever played a emulator, it's been just what you're talking about. It's like, oh, that's what that game was like.
Yeah. No more.
Oh, and there was one point you wanted to make earlier that I made a note about, what we never actually got to, and I knew you wanted to talk about mods a little bit more here, I think. But one of the neat things about playing emulated games,
you can
save them
instead of having to backtrack 15 minutes. It's like you're in the dungeon, you're like a couple of levels away from the boss,
and you die,
and you got to go do something. Oh, you got to go do something.
Or well, you could always pause it back.
And that was, by the way, the killer of old school games. You young millennials, man, you've got it so easy with these games, with all the save points,
You're technically a millennial.
I'm a millennial. But having to play a game from start to finish, in one sitting.
Also, you got to remember, Conan, not only are the games a little easier these days in a lot of ways,
much easier.
But there's a terminology that I've heard called NES hard, to kind of describe how difficult these old games actually were. Because it wasn't just that you'd get to the second to last level or whatever. It was that you had to grind your way there by trial and error, learning these levels and trying to get through them. Every time you die, some of these games would start you at the beginning of the level.
Yeah.
And then if you ran out of continues, you'd have to start at the beginning of the game. And so...
Do you remember getting caught up in the negative world in Mario?
I don't remember that, no.
It was
Super Mario?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was one of these where it was just some water maze.
Is this like when you fall through the floor or something?
There was one particular spot, I don't remember where it was, but there was one particular spot where if you went through one of the pipes, it took you into what was referred to as the negative world.
Where everything was negative, like colors were negative, so like the sky was black.
It was just called the negative world because all you could do was die. There was no way to escape out of this water maze.
I don't remember that.
But they still make games now that have the Iron Man mode where you can't save, or instant, or it's a permanent death.
But with the ROMs and the emulators, they have what's called the save state, where at any point in the game you can hit the save button
or save multiple games if you wanted to,
and then you can load from that exact point, your exact moment in time. So, like you can even do this to where if there's a jump that you have trouble making, you could just save right in front of that jump. Keep trying to make the jump, and then you don't have to keep reloading the game from the beginning. It's a huge time saver. Yep. Now, of course, the purists They don't support the save states.
Oh no,
Conan.
they were already throwing their controllers at the wall when I said that.
So
the best part about ROMs is the save state.
The Mario Wiki has an entry about the Midas World. It's a glitch level found in Super Mario Brothers. It's an underwater level exactly like World 7-2 in geography and enemy location, but cannot be finished due to the pipe at the end being glitched and taking you back to the start, and it displays as World-1.
Crazy.
Which is why it was called the negative world or the minus world.
All right, so Conan, you wanted to rant about these mods.
So my one concern with the movement, where we're going, the direction that we're going with some gaming producers, like notably Bethesda, who makes the Fallout games. So Fallout 4, hate it or love it or hate it, has a huge modding community, which actually will make the game better. If you didn't like what they did with it,
it wasn't as good as New Vegas. But,
not New Vegas is by far the best Fallout in my opinion. But where are they going now? They are doing what all the console games do. They're doing what they did with Elder Scrolls. They're going to an online only game.
Yeah, but
setup.
that's just a filler.
Where
that's a filler game,
the modding community, it's not. I don't think it is a filler. I think they're testing the waters. They want it to go places because how do you make money? You make money off. How do you make money after the game? After vanilla, you make after the DLC.
Hold on, French vanilla, cashews, caramel drizzle.
So if you look at the Fallout 4 mods, the official mods by the developers,
nobody cares about those.
There are a couple of good ones that have good reviews, and most of it is crap. Because the modding community has already done all these things and they've gone above and beyond.
And they've done them better.
And guess what? The gaming developers are not making money off of that. I mean, it's keeping the game alive, and that's a good thing, but they're not actually making money off that content. So what if it's an online-only content?
And you got to pay per month to access the servers.
That probably won't be the case with this. It probably won't be the case with Fallout 76.
Why not? Isn't that what they all do?
There have been 76 Fallouts?
No, stop. But I mean, every time they're gonna add some kind of DLC, downloadable content, they'll be selling that for $20 a pop. And the modding community.
What the other games do, like EverQuest and World of Warcraft, where they charge per month to the player to play these massively multiplayer?
There are some games that do charge per month.
There are many online role-playing games that yes, they do. I don't think 76 is going to do that. I think you're going to buy the original. It's going to be an online experience.
I don't want to play it if it's online. I don't want to play these online multiplayer games because I'm worried I'll get sucked in.
You want to visit some rage fans, enraged fans.
They're mad about this.
Go to some 76 forums.
They've not even played the game yet. It isn't even out yet.
Well, I mean, you're taking the game. It's a single player experience. And now you're adding like other people in there that can mess up your gameplay.
They can griefers.
They can nuke your stupid your shelter, which is going to be a possibility.
So, I don't know. We'll see how it all pans out, Conan, because I feel like I heard that they are going to put in provisions to protect people from the griefers. These are the characters, the players that go in just to try to screw with people and, ruin their gaming experience in these
personally,
online games.
I have always been a fan.
I like single-player games.
I always
like them.
On any of the PvP games, like Warcraft was a prime example. You've got your Care Bear servers where you can't
attack the other players.
You can't be attacked by the other faction.
Okay.
I always played PvP, and sometimes you get ganked by.
What's your favorite game right now? What are you playing right now, Conan?
I'm playing, believe it or not, playing Fallout Shelter, which is an Android
the handheld game, right?
Well, it's I played on the PC.
Yeah. Okay.
It's downloaded via Steam. I did not like playing it on the tablet.
Okay.
It's much better PC using a mouse because there's a lot of actions you have to take and trying to swipe and use your finger. There's too much going on.
I'm in the middle of two games. Chrono Trigger for PlayStation 1.
Oh, really?
I'm playing through that on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm slowly.
How far into the game are you?
I'm like 3/4 of the way through it, I think, at this point. And then I'm also in the middle of Doom 2016, the remake of the classic.
I saw it for
Doom.
50% off a couple of weeks ago, and it's like not enough. I'll wait till it's 80%.
If you've got a decent graphics card, pick it up when it's cheap.
Yep.
It's a good one. They did a good job with it. They did a great job of kind of bringing back the original.
The nostalgic
they really did, with a new look to it.
Can you jump? Of course you can jump.
But it's got like the unlimited ammo like the old Doom did, basically. Well, not really, but anyway. Out of time for tonight. You can join us online over at freetalklive.com in the meantime, or jump in the Discord server where the conversation continues at discord.lrn.fm. We'll see you tomorrow.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.87 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,201 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $22, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,674. Antiwar.com reports that Russia's foreign ministry reacted critically to the U.S. Treasury Department's new announcement of sanctions on Tuesday, saying the allegations of malicious cyber attacks were groundless. The cyber activities were allegedly centered on evading previous sanctions. The sanctions targeted Slovakia-based Lacno SRO and Russia's Vela Marine. The Russian company said it was baffled by the decision to target them, as the U.S. claims the diving equipment they provided to the Russian government was used to violate sanctions. Russian officials said the whole sanctions effort was done under false pretense and that the Russians would soon offer a retaliation against the U.S. over the sanctions. Both sides have launched tit-for-tat measures against one another for years, and despite the Trump administration wanting to improve relations, they are constantly hitting Russia with new sanctions. Where this all ends is anyone's guess, but Russia has tended to make its retaliatory moves as close as possible to identical to the U.S. moves. This likely means they'll target a couple of Western companies and officials in this case. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports the U.S. Coast Guard referred the deadly sinking of a Missouri amphibious tour boat to federal investigators for a possible criminal case on Tuesday. Coast Guard spokeswoman Alana Miller confirmed the case in which the so-called duck boat capsized on Table Rock Lake near Branson, Missouri, killing 17 people, was referred to U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Missouri. Miller said during the course of the initial part of our investigation, the fact-finding part, we identified stuff that could point to some sort of criminal activity, and we are not in the business of criminal investigation. investigations. After the boat was raised out of the water last month, Coast Guard Lieutenant Tasha Sanowik said the military branch's investigation would focus on the limits on when the boat could enter the water based on wind speed and the height of waves. The Coast Guard previously determined the cause of the failure was the rapidly worsening river conditions, but also cited a failure to anticipate the change in the weather conditions. Miller did not clarify what criminal activity is suspected, but said the Marine Board of Investigations used its collective judgment and consulted with its legal department before the incident was referred. She also told the Springfield News later the Coast Guard would continue its safety investigation. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports University of North Carolina police on Tuesday were reviewing video to find the protesters who toppled the statue of a Confederate soldier on campus, part of a recent movement to dismantle U.S. Civil War symbols that critics say glorify the South's legacy of slavery. About 300 demonstrators gathered on Monday evening for a protest and marched at the base of Silent Sam, a memorial erected in 1913 to soldiers of the Confederacy killed during the Civil War. Protesters pulled the statue down with rope, cheering as it lay face down in the mud, its head and back covered in dirt. The University Systems Board Chair Harry Smith and President Margaret Spelling denounced the toppling of the statue in a joint statement. They said the actions were unacceptable, dangerous, and incomprehensible. We are a nation of laws, and mob rule and the intentional destruction of public property will not be tolerated. Last year, UNC students threatened to sue the school, alleging that the university violated federal anti-discrimination laws by allowing the statue to remain on campus. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper said in a statement he shared protesters' frustrations over statues but condemned the violent destruction of public property. Campus police arrested at least one person at the protest for wearing a mask and resisting arrest. The statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee was vandalized and later removed by school officials last year at nearby Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Congressman Hanford, you're married, 2 beautiful children, and yet you texted nude photographs to a 23-year-old staffer. Why did you do it?
I wanted her to see my penis. I was hoping the penis photo would arouse her sexually, that she might think, that's a nice penis. I will respond with an offer to have sex with the penis, or maybe send a photo of my breasts. I would like that. And that's what I was hoping would happen.
Here's what intrigues so many people. Why would a promising, successful politician take such a big risk?
I knew I could let down my family, destroy my marriage, and damage the country that I love, but on the other hand, if there's even the small chance of getting off at any time, you gotta take it.
The big question. Do you plan to resign?
No, I'm very good at my job. Plus, it's a lot harder to get women to have sex with you when you're not a congressman.
This is the Onion News Network. And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Let us make them remember, we are not afraid!
No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear. To hear and declare your independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona.
from the BEA beautiful studios of freedomsofthenational.com. All right, James Corbett, we only got him for half an hour, so 2 segments. We got to skip to the end, and get to the one thing I wanted them to talk about. This is kind of, propaganda, and it was a really good example of social engineering that's going on with these citizen scores out of China and Canada. And, well, there was a video that he went